Welcome to it, sports fans. It is the MKT Show, and I am MKT. And yes, the show is named after me, and I don't apologize for that. I feel good about that. It feels great. The power is coursing through my veins on this Friday. Good to be with you. I'm not alone. I have friends, and they will be joining me hopefully until it is our last days on this planet, on the third rock from the sun. Their names, James Illingsley, wasted his parents' money at AFTA, as we know, couldn't get into UCT. James, Jimmy, how you doing, pal?
Good. I woke up this morning and realized it's the 1-year anniversary of lockdown in South Africa for COVID.
Oh, yeah? Should we celebrate that? Well, like, why do we need an anniversary for everything?
I mean, I just feel like we went into this time, right, where we thought this hard lockdown was going to be a month max.
Like it's going to be 2 weeks.
There you go.
Don't worry about it, guys. Watch some Tiger King.
There you go. I went down to the coast to where my parents live, and I expected to be there for a month and a half. I was there until like August.
But do people get sentimental about everything? Like, a year ago, this happened. Okay, let's get on with it. Come on. It's the anniversary of the pandemic. Do me a favor.
Well, it was a rough year.
So, you know, by the way, the voice of the other man, the president of all Portuguese people in South Africa and around the world, Paulo Diaz. Paulo, how you doing?
So, you know what the problem is, though? We can't celebrate the anniversary of lockdown because they're going to take our booze away again. so it's either a real rumor or rumor started by Tops once again.
Oh, yes.
Oh, no, guys, we're closing.
Yep.
You better top up.
Easter weekend.
You better top up,
Smart,
guys.
Because then you buy a truck.
Yeah, exactly.
I've actually seen people at Macro, you know, when nobody knew whether it was going or coming or what the plan was. I saw people walking out of Macro one time, and it was just the same person had like trolley after trolley after trolley of just alcohol.
I'd prefer you wouldn't talk about my cousins that way.
Paulo, what's news, Paul? We haven't seen you for a while. What's been going on in your world?
So listen, you use the term friend very loosely.
Yeah.
I don't think we've gotten into that space yet. So just, you know, all is on parole almost.
Acquaintance.
Yeah. A guy I don't hate, like that sort of ballpark.
You know, that's magnificently pragmatic. That's real. Like, not everybody's besties. That's real. All right. So, you know.
It's a Teddy Sheringham, Andy Cole type of vibe, right?
I hear you.
You know what I mean?
Already jumping in.
And you know what? Only the olds will know what you're talking about there.
Only vintage. It's a vintage reference there.
Hey, a lot of stuff. I've said it to people. A lot of stuff's just for us.
Yeah.
And I like that one. By the way, only those who know, because that is a great pull there, Paulo.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, so no, I like that. All right, a man who our relationship is developing with, Paulo Diaz. Paulo, great to have you back, Jimbo. Nice to hear that you'll be celebrating the fact that the world and the economy crashed this coming weekend. Good to know all of that. It is Friday, of course, and on Fridays I do something called the Friday Five. We do that every single Friday. What I'll do this week is we're going to get into the 5 greatest captains who have ever played in the Premier League. We'll start at number 5. Listen. This guy, big pressure, Russian money, of course, coming across the pond and really changing the face of British, European, and I believe global football forever. The special one came over from Portugal. He declared himself the special one, and he said he's not just another one in the bottle, but he needed this man to hold it together. He was the core, he was the foundation, one of the 2 in the greatest defensive pairing of all time in the league. The other guy, of course, a Portuguese legend, Ricky Carvalho, 4 titles, League Cup double, FA Cup double, a very, very special, a leader of men. No matter what you think of him off the field, in the dressing room, undefeated in London, his name, John Terry, the great John Terry. At number 4, number 1, he was invincible. Okay, there's nothing you can do to overlook that. Not necessarily the greatest roster of guys before, even Thierry Henry, when he came over, really kind of cast out at Juventus. 12.75 million pounds all they paid for Henry. So if they kind of knew what was coming down the way, if anybody says they knew what Henry would be, they're not being honest, I think. But this guy was the rock. He was the bedrock. We remember those legendary battles, United, Arsenal. It was built around him and another guy. He changed the history of Arsenal, right? They'd had a previous generation, and they had to sort of wash that away. He was all class all the time. Looked like a basketball player on a football field. 3 titles, absolutely indomitable in the midfield. His name, Patrick Vieira, at number 4. At number 3, same club, different time. The Arsenal. For all of us olds, we remember a time when it would ring out not only, of course, at their stadium at Highbury, but around the league. You would hear 1-0 to the Arsenal. He was the bedrock of that. He was everything that England were. He was everything that Arsenal were. 3 times he was in the team of the year, 2-time Premier League winner. He won 4 titles in all, but he won it in the old First Division, but 2 times in the Premier League. A man who, to this day, is still viewed as a sort of the embodiment of what Arsenal is. At number 3, the Colossus, that is, Tony Adams. At number 2, a man who could have been president of his country. In fact, maybe president of the world. He's the one guy I'd say I'd have as president of the world. At a stage, listen to this. This is how much the club loved him. By the way, it still continues to this day. His security company is the company that does everything for Manchester City at the moment. He's presidential. He built the culture. That's what makes him special. For £5 million, I don't think there's been a bigger bargain in the history of the Premier League. Because not only do you get ability, but you get leadership. Very few people are talented and also don't mind being unpopular. We call that our leaders. Because leaders don't care about being popular. We want to win. Ladies and gentlemen, 4 titles later, truly, 3 managers into it. A truly great man. Right? When parents say, I would want somebody to be a role model, and I always say, I don't want my kids looking at sportsmen as role models. But here's one guy where I would put my hand up for him any single day. Belgian legend and Manchester City legend. At number 2, ladies and gentlemen, the great, that word's overused, but the great Vincent Kompany. Now, at number 1, if you hate Manchester United, close your ears now. Because this guy, I think it was a cheat code. The Matrix had a cheat code. There was something happened that went wrong here. There's a reason they were unbeatable for 15 years. This guy was like another manager on the field. Forget that he was top 5 best midfielders I think the league's ever seen. But he was like another manager on the field. And then when you amplify the energy of Fergie on the field, really, that's untold. Because you can't get that. It's really like having Fergie on the field. You cannot match that. If you can get that right, it really takes you to another to another level. He was a ruthless winner. Haaland's father knows all about it. Ladies and gentlemen, 7 titles later, a dynasty perhaps sport will never see again. Remember, the British Premier League is the greatest sporting league in the world. Nothing is more competitive. The greatest, not a great, the greatest leader of them all. And I match that up with him. I think he's the best midfielder of them all. Ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, the Irish tyrant, they call him, the one and only. There is only one Keano, Roy Keane. An absolute legend, a colossus of the game, unstoppable. At his peak, unstoppable. Put him with Scholes, Giggs, Neville. I mean, my God. Unstoppable. And if you're old like me, you remember those battles, of course, with the great Roy Keane and Patrick Vieira. Right, number 5, John Terry. Number 4, Patrick Vieira. 3, Tony Adams. Number 2, Vincent Kompany. And at number 1, the greatest captain in Premier League history, Roy Keane. See what the boys think about that. Paolo, I want to start with you. Roy Keane. I've got number 1. I actually think there should be a different list. Because I think he's so separate to all of them. I think he should be on his own list, and that everybody else is competing for second place.
You're right. Yeah, I mean, I think it was through time. So I mean, it's so weird watching ex-players end up in the media because Roy Keane has just become a walking meme as well. You know, before he was just like a walking offense. You know, and you got to wonder. Keane wasn't like an athlete. He was a much better footballer than he's given credit for. So I think there's that dirty side of Roy Keane that a lot of people like keep bringing up, and he was dirty, but he has an amazing football. I mean, fantastic control, great engine, box to box, shot, pass, tackled, everything. Could he play today? Is that a relevant argument? But yeah, I mean, don't take that angry Roy Keane saying stuff just to get the headlines. That was a top-class footballer, and he dragged United so many times. My God, that Champions League semi-final against Juventus. I mean, if it's just one thing, you're out, you're not playing the final, but you know what, I'm going to take this team there by hook or by crook. He dragged the team through, and Juventus were monster.
Hey, that was Nedved. That
They
was
were-
Zidane. We're
They
talking
were
about
monster. Yeah.
Was Thuram in that? That side is
Inzaghi up
Oh.
front. I mean, that was a Davids
Del
was in there.
Piero's
That was a
in there.
beast side. Yeah.
And all on his own. That performance is one of the greatest performances you've ever seen. On his own, by the way, because Roy Keane didn't need babysitting. He was on his own in that midfield, and it was Nedved and Zidane and put him in his pocket.
The rest of the United side froze that night. They froze until they looked at him and they said, okay, he's going to take us there. And I think that's what you look at in a captain. I mean, in all these characters, I think Terry was the same. Henri shirked. I found there were times where Henri just, if it wasn't really going his way, Keane was the worst it went. The worse it went, the better he got.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for me, I think all of these guys.
Where's Steven Gerrard in that?
Oh, I mean,
The poor man's Roy Keane. Stevie me.
The reason Stevie G didn't make this list is that he had to compete against all these guys. Sometimes we go cross-generational,
Yeah.
and then it's kind of difficult. But he was in this era, and if you're the guy, be the guy. And
Yeah.
he had his chances. Listen, he had his chance under Houllier where they were kind of... And you know what? He has no excuse. He had Xabi Alonso for a good half decade, and he still couldn't take it to the next. Because Xabi, I think, is one of the greatest sort of metronomical figures that we've seen in this league. And Gerrard couldn't, take us there.
Yeah.
And he competed against these guys and always came second. I can't have you in the same era. And, it's like if you're into the NBA, Isaiah Thomas,
Yeah.
although he won 2 titles, he was in Jordan's era.
Yeah.
People call him great, but you know what? I was comparing you to Jordan at the time. Sorry.
To be fair to Gerrard, in that sort of analogy, he was a hell of a lot younger than the guys you're saying. I think the closest in age was probably Henri.
Yeah.
So he was competing against guys who were a bit more grizzled than him.
Yeah. But I think the Henri one, before I let you go, Jimbo, is that I think some people are just ballers. He wasn't a leader.
Yeah.
He was just like more like Aubameyang. I think is the poor man's Henri.
Yeah.
He's not a captain.
It's that inspiration, that's listen, when things are going well, that's a great captain, but captain's the guy who, when things are against you, refs calling against you, players sent off, that's when you step up.
And so I've said it on the show before. There's a rule: great ownership, great captain, great manager. Right? You need those 3.
Yeah.
And United, when they had 2 managers. The thing about Keane, as you're saying, is he's not worried about being popular, scoring goals. And there's really famous, I don't know if you've seen the interview where he goes, eventually when Scholes was coming on, because he could have scored more goals. I mean, I think Keane's got 100 goals in his career. He said, no, well, that's clearly the thing. I need to do this, the dirty stuff. Like, that's leadership. That's self-awareness. And then, hey, you used to see how he'd scream at people for passing the ball a yard off. No one else did that. I think these 5 are unique in that.
What's the story with Roy Keane when Dwight York joins United? So he comes in, record fee. First training session, Dwight York thinks, listen, I'm a Premier League player, scored goals, big fee to United. First training session, Keane smashes the ball past him, just absolute smashes it. So, like, miscontrols or whatever, he says, Cantona would have controlled that.
Oh, yeah. There is only one.
That's the introduction.
But that's what you do, right?
Yeah.
It's United here. We like winning's just what we do on Wednesdays. But Jimbo, no Gerrard.
Yeah, look, I think I'm always going to favor Gerrard, not just because I'm a Liverpool fan, but because of who Gerrard was to Liverpool fans. He was that sort of, we saw him as that captain that took us to that 0-5 win in Istanbul. That captain that would, be relentless in, bleeding for Liverpool kind of thing. And I think Gerrard partnered in the midfield with players like, I think Mascherano was there at a point. There was Xabi Alonso.
Oh my God, listen to those 2.
And
Stevie.
And I think, look, that's maybe what made him.
Yeah.
But he was still a genuinely good player even after those 2 got sold and went to Spain. And I mean, even one of the comments here said he had Hicks and Gillett to deal with when he was partnered with Alonso. So I mean, look, Gerrard had a lot of help in his career in the midfield and controlling the midfield, and I believe that having that help in the beginning made him the player that he is now. So I'm always going to favor Gerrard as a Liverpool fan. I think with a lot of these other, excuse me, with a lot of these other captains that you've mentioned, it's actually brought back a lot of nostalgia. So I was part of that era where in school you would come to school with those books
with the cards.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I remember having John Terry, and it was the club captain version. It was like a special edition, like higher
It
rated.
was like shiny.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, looking at the photo of John Terry just now, it instantly brought back all that nostalgia. And I do miss the days where captains were captains and they didn't succumb to the pressures of money and fans and stuff like
Paulo,
that.
I'm going to come to you because I think that's an interesting point you're raising about when captains were captains. But talk to me about, so would you have Gerrard in this top 5 somewhere?
I would. I think I would.
So let's do it since we're here. Would you take Steven Gerrard over John Terry?
Personality-wise, yeah. I don't agree with his morals.
That's its own thing. Allegedly, yeah. You weren't there.
We're not going to cross that bridge. You know what I mean?
Well said. Well said.
It's -1.
Yeah, already.
Am I losing the mic stand already? Sorry. As a captain, probably.
Okay, so you take him over Terry. Would you take him over Patrick Vieira?
A man was a brick wall. Probably not.
Okay, would you take him over Tony Adams? Slightly before your time.
Yeah, I was about to say I'm not
Okay.
too familiar with
Would
him.
you take him over Vincent Kompany?
Prime Vincent Kompany was a rock star.
Yeah.
That dude was insane. I think that's a tough one. I think I'd maybe take Gerrard. Honestly, I would.
Over Kompany?
Yeah.
And would you take him over Roy Keane? A guy called Roy Keane.
Roy Keane was before my time, but I do know who he is, obviously. I wouldn't take Gerrard over Roy Keane.
See, for me, I can't even say he gets close because I'd probably take, I'm being dead honest, I'd take Tim Sherwood over Gerrard because he, hey, listen.
Wow.
That's at MKT Inspires on Twitter.
I'll tell you why, is cometh the moment, cometh the man. Sport is about moments.
Sure.
And Tim Sherwood, Blackburn couldn't get there. When the pressure came, they got there and they needed him. Gerrard had his chance. That season when they came second, Gerrard had his chance. Like, take us. We need to cross the Rubicon. It can happen. It's like the Harry Kane thing, which is why I'll never be into Harry Kane. They both had their chance to deliver their teams from evil in seasons where nobody else performed. Oh, sorry.
You see, that's the thing with that. I know what season you're talking about with the Liverpool one where we.
That's the one where he slipped.
Yeah, exactly.
That one where
But
it was
that's
all there, and everyone was outside Anfield just acting as if they won the title already.
Yes,
Then Gerrard said
before.
that one.
Yeah.
It was that season
Yeah,
when
exactly
he
that one.
It's that one.
When Demba Park.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
But
That one.
that's
When
the
he
thing.
slipped. That one.
Yeah. When Steven Gerrard himself actually slipped. Yeah.
For those watching, I think Steven Gerrard might have slipped in that game. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
You see, I think that season he was pivotal to Liverpool winning that league and going on that run. I don't know if you guys remember, there was after that one game, it kind of became a little bit of a meme after a while. But he huddled like all the players in a circle, and he was crying, and he was like, "We go again. Like next week, we do the same stuff. We're gonna win this title." Blah blah blah. And then we didn't. But watching stuff like that and watching the captain do stuff like that after you've beaten a team, I don't know who we had beaten after that game, but I mean, to me, that's the marks of a great captain, to keep the team going. And he made a mistake; he slipped.
Oh well.
He slipped though, but you
He did
remember when he
Yeah,
slipped?
okay.
I do remember when he couldn't keep his footing, and thus he was on the floor. But
Who slipped again?
Steven Gerrard.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So my thing is this: you can't almost be the man. I know sometimes it's easy in hindsight, but you can't say, "Oh, we almost won the war." Like all of these guys definitely won the war. And my thing with Gerrard is they could have won because what Suarez and he made, who was it? Suarez and Sturridge up front that season.
No, Sterling.
I mean,
I think,
no, it was Danny Sturridge.
It was Sturridge.
Suarez and Sterling.
And, all three.
Yeah.
Stevie.
Yeah.
And what? Who did he have? Mascherano. Who was?
No, Mascherano was gone long.
He was gone already.
So it was just
I
Gerrard.
think our midfield was relatively bad.
Dirk Kuyt was
Actually.
there. Still there.
Was he really?
Yeah.
I think he was still there, yeah.
Hey,
What?
listen, I don't need excuses. Vardy took him to the title with Wes Morgan as at the back. So please, Stephen, do me a favor.
Maybe I'm being biased. But Andrew Harrison also says FA Cup final 2006.
That's the one. That's a great goal against West Ham for those youngsters who don't know what that is.
Give him that. Like he was immense in the game. You know what the thing, and maybe he has the impression, and he used Harry Kane as well, is that the difference between those five that you listed there, realize that it wasn't about them doing the moment. It was about them enabling their team. You get the impression with Kane now and Gerrard is that they felt if they didn't do it, no one else could do it. And I think that's the difference between all of those. So, like I know I talk about Keane, that immense game in Turin, but the rest of the time he enabled the team. He wasn't trying to run, tackle, and take the ball upfield and take shots, and he wasn't dropping into, like Kane does, drop into midfield. And I think that's the difference. It is I think all those other guys there, Henry, is they enabled the team.
Yeah.
Where Gerrard, I mean, the thing about that 2005 was the Istanbul final, Gerrard had to be moved out to the right back because he was clumping up the midfield. If you remember that game, I remember it clearly, is that he just was all over the place in midfield. There was no structure while Benitez was trying to change it. He had to put Gerrard, and Gerrard had a great game down there. He took the responsibility away from him.
Yeah.
But in that middle, he was just all over the place.
Well, he bought Dietmar Hamann on everything changed.
Just to control that midfield. So, because Gerrard's like, well, if I don't do it, no one's going to do it. And that, if you compared to those five you said, knew when was their time and when I'm just going to provide a base for someone else.
Sure.
No, I completely agree. But before we finish this topic off, and you said something just now about you miss the days when captains were captains. Do you think that style of sort of, guys were leading in a different way then?
Yeah.
And when I played, in my first year at Watford, it was by today's standards, and I was 18. They would say today it's abuse, right? Because some of the stuff that was said to me as an 18-year-old. Are you kidding? Yeah. And I've heard kids now being spoken to and complaining in our high schools here in South Africa. And I think you've got no idea. But again, we all are biased to our own era. Do you think that's possible again, that Vieira, Keane type of leadership style? Do you think that could work now? Because we kind of saw it with, let's say we're at United, that Mourinho-Pogba dynamic where sometimes and we're seeing it with Mourinho now, do you need sometimes now put your arm around people where it matters how guys are feeling instead of just worrying about winning?
Yeah, captains are different now. I think Vieira is probably more the modern style captain. But that Roy Keane would destroy people right now. You see Harry Maguire try it sometimes and it just doesn't really work out for him. It's sort of like he comes out looking like really bad and it doesn't really suit him and he's trying to do that. So it's like anything. It's like that old style screaming manager. It was right for the time. Keane now would like absolutely destroy people.
It's interesting actually because we've actually got a tweet about that. Someone said, I would die to see Roy Keane as United's manager. He doesn't care about player egos. And you see that when he's a pundit talking about United every week. He embodies the idea of playing for the badge. No players bigger than the club. I think that's what the Premier League's missing.
I don't think they could handle it. The whole fallout with Keane that eventually got him kicked out the club was because he just overstepped that. And it was just Ferguson realized it's just not the time for this. You cannot call out young players. Behind the scenes, all the young players said they understood why that happened, but I think Ferguson realized it wasn't the time. So Roy Keane now, that guy's smart. He knows what he does now.
Oh, yeah.
He knows why he's doing it. As a manager now, it's not going to work.
He would rip players to shreds.
I got to be honest. I can't see it. I can't see it because now people's feelings do matter. I mean, if people don't believe us, by the way, just go and YouTube Roy Keane and see what he does, the vitriol that comes up. People thought, do you remember when Wayne Rooney arrived and he was he'd go red in the face and people thought that was a lot.
Yeah.
That was like 20% of Roy Keane on every possession. It's tough to.
And that's when Roy Keane was drinking when he first broke through at Nottingham Forest in his first couple of seasons at United. He was a heavy drinker.
Yeah.
Huge.
Oh yeah.
Huge.
Oh, big problems.
Huge.
And he had some stuff off the field as well. Yeah. I remember he beat that guy up. He was
a complete savage.
But here's the thing: Man United still broke the transfer record for him. By the way, and go and Google
£3 million.
And £3.5 million quid. But great story there for the young people that don't know what happened. Actually, Roy Keane was meant to go to Blackburn. The deal was done. Kenny Dalglish had forgotten the paperwork at Blackburn. Kenny
Lol.
Dalglish goes back to Blackburn. The office is locked. He says, all right, I'll see you on Monday to sign the deal. What happens? Glaswegian guy, Sir Alex Ferguson, pops the call in on the weekend. By the Monday, Roy Keane is a Manchester United player. Real story. Go and Google it. That is that is a real story.
Imagine a time in the Premier League where Roy Keane is not a cult hero, but he's rather playing for Blackburn.
Maybe they win more than one title.
Well, that's
Fair
the
enough.
thing.
He joins Sherwood, and then they got Sutton, and then they got Shearer, and Shearer doesn't leave then.
Yeah.
You know that. I mean,
And then we could have had a different top 6 today.
we could have had a different top 6.
Just that's
today.
by the way, and current record is that Blackburn have exactly the same amount of Premier League titles as Liverpool.
Jimbo.
That's Blackburn Rovers.
Well, Jimmy. I mean, now we're talking. Hey, don't shoot the messenger. Blackburn are as successful as Liverpool in the Premier League.
I
Fact.
disagree.
Yeah, that's numbers.
Fact.
Are you disagreeing with numbers that have been used for thousands of
I do.
years to determine tacit fact?
don't get people that say Liverpool have one Premier League trophy. We don't, though.
Okay.
But you do
We've
that.
got 19.
Oh, you got 19 Premier League titles.
Oh, so the name changed. Sick.
For goodness sake, they were playing against milkmen and accountants back then. We're talking about the professional era when it matters.
Okay, so then how many trophies does United have when they were playing against milkmen and accountants? If you take their trophies away.
Well, no. He's got 13 now, hey, Fergie. Fergie got 13 Premier League
Oh, but
titles.
it's only Premier League.
Oh, 13 Premier League.
No, but it doesn't.
When did he, how many Premier League titles is it?
No, it just doesn't. It's
It's nearly double figures. yeah.
Liverpool have just got the best. They've just got all of them.
They do.
They've got them all.
Oh my gosh.
Just they've got them all, right?
Gerrard Houllier, the treble.
No,
Oh,
he
please.
got a treble, guys. He got a treble. You
mean-
can't. That's fact.
Wasn't that like I mean, this is not me. rooting
Fugazi
for Liverpool.
treble, by the way.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
Before we go here.
Wasn't it like there was a big thing about this treble, right? Because it wasn't actually
Maybe in
seen as
Liverpool.
one.
No, not you, the way you're making it sound is like, oh, it's controversial. Like it wasn't actually. No, it is not a treble. Like it might as well be in Lego treble, right?
Well, it's like the treble. There's the treble and a treble.
yeah.
You know,
Wasn't it a continental treble or
No, it was
something like
League Cup,
there's League Cup, FA Cup,
FA Cup,
and
yeah.
UEFA Cup.
UEFA
that?
Cup.
So
yeah.
domestic. No,
No, very
that
much the
wouldn't-
poor man's
that would
version,
not be
by
a
the way.
domestic treble.
Very much the poor man's version. The real one. Only Fergie's done the real one. Like, please. Let's not get this wrong. Let's not get into Houllier got a treble. He didn't. He got
Oh no, I don't believe it is.
Fugazi. But what? Liverpool have all the titles.
They got
Apart-
everything. They just got.
We do.
Club
We've got Virgil
Championship.
van Dijk. We've got.
Super Bowl 15.
We
They
had
got it all.
Steven
They
Gerrard.
got it all.
We load it, guys.
So you take Steven Gerrard over John Terry, huh?
I would.
What a
I would.
wild world.
Mainly because I feel like a captain has to be a captain,
Yeah.
and you have to be. I think your moral compass
Oh no,
should be.
So you want to be? No, you want a best mate. You don't want a
Yeah,
captain.
you want a best.
No,
yeah,
no,
that's
no,
right.
no, no,
You
no,
want
no,
to get
no,
someone
no,
fish
no.
and chips
You
with
want a
someone.
brother-in-law.
Yeah.
No. I'm saying you can't be a captain of a club
Mm.
and then be in the newspapers for the next 3 months about how you
Did what
messed
you did.
around with a teammate's wife.
I
It's
don't know.
not a good image.
And Steven Gerrard's not beating up DJs who play Elton John.
Yeah, there was some stuff.
That's-
With I used to
What?
see Steven Gerrard. I used to see Steven Gerrard on the town when we'd go party in Liverpool. He wasn't the angel everybody says. But okay, but what you sound like is you want a mate to go on holiday with. We're talking about a
No,
captain
no.
in the most competitive industry in the world.
Footballers aren't there to be role models. It's
No.
like between those 4 lines, that's what matters. Outside of it, I couldn't care less what they
to
do.
be honest, so you're saying you want a chum like
no,
Stevie? Just
no, I'm saying as a captain.
walk hand in hand on the beach.
I mean, I wouldn't say no. As a captain, you have to be someone who the under 18s at the club, a role model, if you can call it that. Okay, you have to be someone who the under 18s at the club can, aspire to be like. I want to be like Steven Gerrard one day, one of the greatest captains or Liverpool captains to ever grace the field. That's what I feel like a captain should be.
Paulo, you cracked the door open there. Your thoughts on sportsmen being role models?
Why? That's not what they're there for. I mean, they're sportsmen. You know yourself better than us. You need something else to get to the top. And sometimes that getting to the top isn't nice and isn't being friendly.
Yeah.
And to stay at the top, I reckon it's a million times more. So yeah, I don't quite, it's like you get a lot of things like when players swear on the pitch or they do this. Oh, if he did that in the street, it'd be common assault. It's like, but he wouldn't do that in the street. And as a parent, if you're looking at a Premier League footballer to be a role model to your child, check yourself as a parent, because it's just like there are footballers. 4 lines, do what you need to do. The rest of the time, as long as you're not like hurting kids and women, like whatever, dude, like knock yourself out on between those 4
Literally.
lines. It's like I don't know why footballers, sportsmen.
See, I'm not the only person of this opinion that captains need to be a role
No,
model.
it's a wide held opinion.
Because
I don't-
even
I don't disagree
Andrew
with
Harrison says, guys,
Oh yeah.
in the comments, he says because I put a question as Cliff Central in the comment section. Who do you think has been the greatest Premier League captain? And Andrew said would be John Terry hands down, if not for the Wayne Bridge thing. I'm just
Okay,
saying it's a deciding factor.
But
for a
what do
lot
you?
of people.
So you're saying you want sportsmen to be role models?
It's something to aspire to. I mean, when I was a little kid, I looked up to, actors, actresses, football players, a lot of people.
Yeah.
I mean, I know Hollywood's outside of this whole
Well,
conversation.
no,
but
it's the same. They're entertainers.
okay. So let me ask you this: what is your sort of definition of a role model?
So, for me, let me answer the first question. I do not want my sportsmen being role models, because having spent time around them, number one, they are the most selfish people in the world. And the problem is when you say role model, is that young kids can't discern between wanting to emulate the entire character of that person or just take bits. Because really, what you want is for young kids to go, discipline, that's awesome. Resilience, that's awesome, because that's what sportsmen have to do to get, especially those guys. Like the amount of sacrifice you can't be late. Like unless you're Leo Messi or that next level talent, you can't be late. You got to have discipline. You got to learn to get along with people with it you don't like. Right, to get to the top is most people probably didn't like Roy Keane, but this guy's going to take us to the top. You've got to develop these characteristics in children because they need to develop that early, right? That part of stuff, awesome. But I don't want kids following sportsmen. Selfish. And by the way, ego to the next level, because you need it. Without an uber-inflamed ego, you don't get into the academies. Forget about the top. The top is another level. You need the ego. It is a prerequisite and a non-negotiable. Now, when I put it to a parent like that, I say, is that what you want as a role model for your child? Not the ideal that you talk about. But my philosophical problem with making sportsmen and actresses and actors role models or positioning them, because we've done that, by the way. They haven't. I know footballers. They have not. They don't want that. We as society, we're saying because you're rich and you've won a genetic lottery, you should be a role model. That is ridiculous, because being rich doesn't mean you're a good person.
Yo,
Being
this guy, hey, yeses.
Like-
What an argument, yo.
No, but
You're
like,
right.
I've never understood this idea that being rich and powerful makes you a good person. Now, for me, who I want being my role models is my teachers and my politicians and the people that touch the fabric of my society all the time, right? Now, is it ideal if Sadio Mane happens, right? He's like,
yeah.
that's ideal, but I don't think that should be a prerequisite, because that's not in the demand. Now, when you're a politician, that's actually in your job, is be a good person, because when you're a good person, you're going to steal from the people. That's in your job demands. No.
Depends where you
Well,
live, obviously.
I mean, they aren't good people. I'm just saying that we've got it all twisted, that this idea that power equates to quality of character is madness. Those are my thoughts.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. I mean, the genetic lottery thing is perfect. Why does that all of a sudden preempt you as being a role model? And I think, you use the kid thing, and probably we're going off here, right? Is that kids now, so say for my daughter's 10 years old, she likes YouTubers, right? So she looks at them. And YouTubers, okay, whatever it is, but it goes, she looks at a YouTuber, and now every kid wants to be a YouTuber. And what you got to say there is, don't necessarily look up to that particular person. Look up to, this person's up till 3 o'clock every morning shooting a new video. They edit a new video every single day. They got the dedication. They got the commitment. They're doing stuff not for themselves, for an audience. And yes, they grow that audience. They make money. But it goes, don't admire her admire her work rate or admire the discipline to have got there. And I suppose when you take a sportsman, it goes, don't admire that player, admire what they've done to get there.
Yeah.
Okay, if they end up being a cool person, then that's amazing, but don't demand that. I think there's enough, and that's not their job.
No.
Not their job. That's your job.
By the way, don't have kids then. My argument is if that's too much for you to raise your own kids, don't have them.
Yeah.
Like I don't have kids, and it's easy for me to be perfect and sanctimonious this side, but quite frankly, don't have kids.
It's not easy though. I've seen you work at it, eh? Don't undersell.
Hey,
Don't undersell.
listen. Having an ego this size takes a hell of a lot of work. Hey, tough to be humble when you know you're the finest. All right.
Don't undersell.
All right, Jimbo, Stephen Gerrard, see if we can get a hold of his email address and you guys can go and have an ice cream and talk about slipping and Denver Bar scoring.
Stevie@me.co.uk.
Yes. Stevie and Jimbo at the beach. It's a sitcom. It writes itself. All right, let's move on. We're going to go to another red team. Big news coming out of Manchester. Rumors at the moment, but I believe Ollie is in. It seems like he may be getting a 3-year deal and a pay bump. Before we get into this, in life, it's tough because as we get older, and I'm getting older, and I'm getting on. I'm in my mid-30s now. I'm not what I was when I was 18, when I was 25. But as we get on, there's something terrible we have to accept. We are who we are. And that's so, I know it sounds glib, but it's so true. Folks, we are who we are. And we spoke the other day about Manchester United, and people were saying, oh, the Manchester United way is winning. The Manchester United way is this. And I argued, no. It's the Fergie way, but it's gotten kind of fuzzy. But what you need to accept, if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer gets a 3-year contract, because we've seen what he is now, folks. Like, this is what Ole is. These are the results you can sort of expect. I'm not saying this is going to be the end of it, but you kind of know what's going to happen. You're gonna need to invest heavily because he's clearly not a motivator. That we haven't seen. I haven't seen a single person where he's taken a young kid or somebody to the next level. But what he is level-headed. What Ollie gives you is sort of a temperate zone where he never gets too high, but he never gets too low, right? So you kind of know what you're getting, a bit of a 6 or a 7 all the time, which is okay if you're okay with temperate. Now, Manchester United need to accept something. It's now been since 2013. This is not like just a thing. Like, we're 8 years into it. If you're giving Ollie a 3-year deal and a pay bump, what you're really saying is, we are who we are. Top 4, we're delighted. Get us to the semi-final, we're delighted. When you give a guy a 3-year deal, by the way, that's not with dating anymore. That's not okay. 3-year deal is, you need to meet my family because I'd like to get married in December. 3-year deal's a long time in today's environment. It's really a 5-year deal. He's been here for 2 years already. Folks, we are what we are. If you're a Man United fan, I got a bitter pill for you to swallow. You are now delighted with top 4, and you are now a top 5 side. This is what it is with Ollie. I don't care how much money you throw at it. I don't, because I've seen this before with managers where you try the money thing, but this is what you are. So if you're a United fan, you got to ask yourself now, the next 5 years, what do they look like? Because the next cycle starts after Ollie leaves. By the way, I don't care what foundation Ollie is laying right now. The next guy's going to want to do it differently because Ollie isn't that shark, right? You've seen what Tuchel's done just coming in. Are the talent levels that different? Well, United have spent just as much money, right? And we're kind of seeing what happens when you've got Tuchel, who is a little different. Like, the temperature in the room got turned right up on the Chelsea players. Right, Alonso's back. What's Alonso doing back in the team? Rudiger's looking like a prime Maldini. How did that happen? That's the motivator side I'm talking about. I mean, the boys are here, and we'll discuss it a little bit. But for me, for Man United, and for all the young kids out there, you need to hear this. When people say this, it isn't just glib. It isn't just a thing they say on Instagram. Folks, we are who we are. Man United are now a top 4 team, possibly top 6, and they're happy with that. Because in the corporate world, there's a language. Folks, there is a language. Now, the language is a secret because the corporate, when they do this to you, don't tell you this, but it's kind of like, come on, pal, we understand. It's called money. And when they pay you more money, I expect more from you. but they're paying Ollie more money to say we're happy with this. That language is called money. It's called a salary. By the way, more money, more problems. I don't know if that's going to be a good thing for Man United. And hey, 3-year deal. Call it a 5-year cycle of top 4 and possibly top 6. So United fans, you are who you are. Paulo, your thoughts?
The unfortunate thing is that there's no water allowed in the studio around all this fancy equipment.
Yeah.
Or else I would be taking that pill because I can't dry swallow.
Well, I mean,
That
each to their own. I
that
guess.
pill is swallowed.
It's a bitter one, huh?
James, I want to tell you something, right?
Tell me.
You're going to hear something. Umbalelo's heard it from me before.
Hit me
I,
with
I
it.
was on the show beginning of the season. We're talking about exactly the same thing, right? I made the claim, and subsequent evidence has proven to be not such an outrageous claim, is that if David Moyes had stayed at United his full 7 years, which would be ending now, would United be worse off than what we've had? Think about it. Would we have same investment, right? Because he would have got the money.
Sure.
Forget that first year. It was Woodward's first. Okay, he bumbled. He's bumbling, but same investment. Would we have done a couple of 7, 6, couple of 2s, 3s, couple of cups here and there, played some horrible football at times, played some good football? Would David Moyes, seeing what he's doing in West Ham now, with confidence, with his feet under the desk, would we have done worse than where we are now?
That's such a good question. And Paulo, you did say that last time.
Right? And it sounded crazy. But we see what David Moyes settled, what he does. Now, why I bring that up is because it's about having that stability. With the same stability, it's not going everything. And everything you said is true. We got to accept who we are. Ole's time to have gone is gone. If they were going to pull the trigger, he would have gone. You know, so I reckon if he survived that sort of like fallout of that sort of 6-1 Spurs, the Champions League knockout, that embarrassment in Turkey, surviving that, Ole's one thing. He was one thing as a football manager. If he can't be good, be lucky.
Amen.
That guy has got 4-leaf clovers in every crevice in his body. Which one's
True.
lucky? 3 or 4?
4.
I'm not Irish.
It's 4.
4.
4.
He's-
I'm not Irish either. It's just the name.
Okay, he's got them. He's got all of these. He's got
every 4-leaf clover.
whatever Norwegians have. He's got Haaland's fingernails blessed by Odin's son himself.
Odin's raven itself. That's how Odin used to send a raven.
The
just so you know.
raven landed on Ole's shoulders
Yeah.
and said, "My son, you are blessed by me."
You are chosen.
And off he went to Haaland's house to go bless the next one. Because Ole has got to be the luckiest. His timing is impeccable. As a player and now as a manager, his timing is impeccable.
Yeah.
So his time to go is gone, and it is what it is. And you're 100% right. We will do the top 4s. We will get a second. We may even do a title. We may even make late runs. We'll get a cup here and there. But as long as that money's turning, that cash register's rolling, the brand's there, United are looking good. Because I said the other day, we're insulated. We will always sign world-class players. Always. We've got the money, we will. And we will always bring players through the academy. There will always be a McTominay, a Rashford, a Greenwood. There will always be. There will always be a Ravel Morrison. There will always be a Pogba. There will always be there. And as long as that stays, Ole's there.
Yeah.
There's a structure behind him now. You know, whether that structure is long-term to replace him or to fit his incumbent or whatever.
Yeah.
His incumbent, right? It sounded fancy.
Yeah.
He is the incumbent.
He's the incumbent.
Yeah.
To fit his successor.
Manager-elect.
Manager-elect.
Mm.
You know, so that structure's there. Like I say, the time for him to go, it was like the time for him to go would have been the end of that first season.
I agree.
Okay. But then, you know, and say, thank you, Ole, upstairs to Director of Nostalgia. You can take that over. Right. Go design our 50th, 75th, 195th anniversary kits.
Yes.
You can go do that. But it didn't. And then again, lucky, the luckiest man that
On
a
earth.
pandemic has ever touched, because how can you sack anyone in a pandemic?
No, you can't.
You know?
And Greenwood.
Oh,
I mean-
Greenwood comes through.
Yeah.
Bruno,
Oh my gosh.
you know?
Oh.
I knew Bruno was good, but I never expected. I mean,
No.
I'd watched him at Sporting. I'd seen this play. I never expected that.
Nobody did.
But,
Nobody did.
Ole, lucky, right?
Tell me this. You've raised such an interesting point with the Ollie thing. What is good enough for me? Like, you know, my old man says this. Like, just my old man's crazy. I think he's like just cold blooded. But he says, when people show you who they are, not only must you believe them, but believe them the first time. Because you know how we are as people is we're like, no, you're not. No, no. You know what? I met her and she was drunk at a pub, but that's not what she is. When we get together, you know, I'll make her a family, and then you want to complain about her drinking 3 years into the relationship on a Sunday at a pub, right? Is when people show you who they are, believe them the first time. Do you feel like you've seen the full range of what Ollie is, or do you think there's something left now that he's settled that he may unlock now? Maybe there was a part of thing of, okay, I live here now. I'm not renting. I live here now. I'm repainting the walls.
Yo, that's a risky move, hey? If he's been holding anything up those little sleeves, yo, that is a ballsy move. Look, I just go, you know, we spoke the other day, compare like Arteta, Pirlo, Gerrard. Ole's not 39, 41. He's a lot older. I don't think there's much more. If it was there, we would have seen it. I said he's a good man for the club, but I don't think he's a good man for the team. You know, there's not much more there. But he'll be insulated. Yep. There'll be another Bruno. There'll be another Rashford. There'll be another.
There always is.
There will be. And that's what United managers will always have. And as long as it seems like the background is there, it'll always be there, and we'll always get fourth. We'll always have players who are good enough to beat other teams.
Yep.
We'll just always have that.
And then, I guess as a Man United fan, my last question then on this for you, Paolo, would be, how do you feel about this? Because now it's, you know, you were the standard. Because everything I watch about United now, they used to do it differently. Like David Gill, I believe he's the greatest football administrator I've ever seen, because you know what the great ones do for me? Because I like to study success. I've studied Musk, I think I studied him, but I try and read up on these people.
You reek of Musk, your manly Musk.
There is a Musk to me.
There is a Musk.
It's a haunting aroma, some ladies out there say. It's a
beautiful.
formidable scent.
Like, I know you see us and you hear us, but if you guys could smell the studio.
It smells incredible.
It smells of like if Bon Jovi had a rub up against Kiss wrapped in like a Def Leppard blanket. That's what this muskiness in this studio is all about.
And just like that, our view count has gone
up. Cut that promo. By the way, we'll get back to what we were talking about. Great promo, by the way. Great podcast called That 80s Show. Paolo, tell us about that, because a lot of people might go, hey, all of that music sounds like it's from the same era. Why isn't he referencing, I don't know, Big Booty Bump or whatever guys are called now? There's a reason all of it's from the 80s. That 80s Show, by the way, it's something we need to talk about. Paolo, when is that on?
It's this amazing podcast on Cliff Central. Amazing music show, actually. It's a live music show on Cliff Central. Fridays at 11. Outstanding host named Dory. Outstanding.
I thought you were talking about yourself.
No, I bring the thing down. I like, honestly, Dory is the glue that holds this ratchet old horse together. She's outstanding.
She is.
She bequeaths me with her presence. Great 80s movie knowledge, 80s music knowledge, jokes, puns, facts.
It's a banger show. Like,
and then,
honestly,
I just bring the whole thing down.
Well, yeah, and this is actually the reason I brought that up was this is the way I actually wanted to address that. You should probably be more on the production side, because you're bringing the show down so much with Dory's excellence. Do you know what the problem is? Is hosting with Dory for you is that the gap's so big between you and Dory.
Yeah,
it's kind of clear. It kind of exposes your shortcomings, and that's just constructive feedback, baby.
I take it.
Yeah,
listen, I take it.
If it's any consolation, I subscribed to your mailing list yesterday for your show.
Sorry about that.
But I got an email about it just now, actually.
Actually, no. Well done on that, because Dory runs that.
Yes. Yeah. Again, professional.
I saw color-coded.
Yeah.
I saw links. Look at that. Look at that. It's beautiful.
Oh, it's all pictures.
Images.
All right, Paolo. But I mean, okay, so, you know,
so
you can look at one or two ways. I'm not insulting you. There's room for improvement.
Exactly.
On your behalf.
Come for the music.
Plenty of room.
Stay for Dory.
Yeah.
I promise I won't talk that much.
There we go.
That's the show's
self-awareness.
Logo. Slogan.
Self-awareness. That's self-awareness.
100%.
You know your place. But
I'm keening her. I'm enabling her.
You're keening her.
I'm enabling. Behave yourself. I'm enabling.
Roy Keening her.
When you verb yourself.
See. Yeah. So now, hey, That 80 show, check that out. It's available on Cliff Central, 11 o'clock every single Friday, and then it repeats at 5 p.m. every Friday as well.
Yep.
Check that out on cliffcentral.com or the app. You can stream it live.
Yep.
So, Paulo, let's get back, and I want to finish up on how you feel about this. As now United are, because for me, as I said, I study the success. Musk, all these guys, and I've got great Musk, as we've said, is that, when they're winning, they do more stuff to improve. Not when things are adverse. When they're winning, and that was Fergie's great thing for me. That was United. I believe that's why United managed to stay ahead for so long. Is that when they were winning, is Fergie goes Van Nistelrooy out, Beckham out, always shedding. And I look now, and I kind of see Man United are kind of, what's their way? The Fergie way was so strong. Is we're winning, I expect that, so I want to get better within my system. Now the United way, they kind of feel like their operational side of things, as I look at it, is way second to City and Chelsea. And I'm not just looking at results. I'm looking at a mentor of mine. She's an interesting person. She says, you got to do business the way business is being done. Not how you want to do business. Do business the way business is being done. And I kind of felt like United were the trendsetters. They were the Tesla of their time, in my opinion, under Fergie. Now I kind of feel like they're floundering. It's like, what are other people doing? Kind of looking externally. And I don't know if I'm reading that correct, but do you not get that sense?
Is it not maybe like splitting out the football business versus the business, right? So if you go, the football business was the benchmark and everyone sort of followed that. So it's sort of like invest in your academy. United were the first ones to do that in the modern era and like really, really make a move for it. Also got lucky. I mean, the chances of that generation, we only then saw again Barcelona pull something out like that all at once. So, I mean, that's also luck. I don't think you designed that. But so there was this investment in the academy. Then I think the next thing United sort of did was the squads. Have a deep, deep squad of like 18 internationals. When, early days, no one was doing that. And then really taking Europe seriously. That was the next thing. So that was the benchmark on the field. And then just, United were the first to play 5 in midfield. Everyone was 4-4-2. United were the first to try that. So I think there was that happening. And we were the football sort of like trendsetters. Then we've become the business trendsetters. United are the only club that sort of came out of this pandemic in a good space. We made a
healthy profit, yeah.
We all understand that, but however you look at it, United made a profit. So I think every club now is going, okay, well, I think we've far taken in a football structure by probably 4 or 5 clubs now. But the business structure now, everyone's going, geez, we've got to do what they're doing, and they're trying to do it. They're not sacrificing one for the other yet, where I think we've sort of like tipped too much the one way. I hope all these new appointments seem to like push us more in the middle, because that's where you're going to sit these days. You got to sit in the middle. And I think most club owners want you to be like 60% successful business, 40% successful team.
That's such an interesting take. Do you think maybe football clubs are going to move to a place where you almost do, as you put it there, split the business in half? Like, where you employ an entire business division to run the football side, which is what I think that the European clubs have been doing for a while. I think Madrid kind of have that football director, and it was Valdano for a long time. Is just run that, and then the sort of business side is run by a completely different person. So in this situation, let's say Woodward would just be head of executive and marketing,
commercial, and
commercial, and whatever, and he has nothing to do with Ollie. And then you've got another like Woodward just running football operations. Do you think that's a way? That's such an interesting way to look at it.
Well, Bayern do that.
Oh yeah, but Rummenigge is a different beast. Yeah,
So I mean, if they, it's not a bad club to sort of like look at what they're doing and try to replicate that.
That's a really, really interesting way. Listen, we'll come back to that, because I love what you said there about the fact that splitting a business is 60-40, because I've never really thought about it that way. I've always thought about a football club as the whole pie, but the way you're putting it makes so much sense.
Think of the model, right? New York Yankees. What do they do? As I mean, American sports better than me. I know baseball's not really up on your agenda.
No, it is. Oh, it is.
Okay, New York Yankees. What do they do?
They will pay for everyone all the time, and we are way over the cap, and we don't care.
Are they winning?
Oh, listen. And if we're not winning, we're not happy.
Okay.
Yeah.
But as a brand, there are people who wear New York Yankees cap and don't know it's what it is.
They have no idea who it is.
They own New York. They own NY. That's their thing. But it's Yankees.
Yeah.
And I think ultimately every Manchester United have said before that's their ambition. you know.
Mm.
And I think every football club wants to be Lakers, New York
I
Yankees.
see what you're saying.
You know what I mean? It's like that's who knows? Like people wear Lakers stuff or New York Yankees. I don't know who that is.
They don't.
And I think the football clubs want to be there. They got to get up there.
That is such an interesting take. James, your thoughts on sort of a football, you being a football fan and kind of the business side coming into it. Do you like that? Or do you not want to hear about it? Because some people like, hey, I don't care about that. But
But Liverpool are doing it amazingly well.
they are.
They're doing it phenomenally well. They're just not as overt as United.
I think it's interesting stuff. The business side of things, and I've never really been into the business side of things in
Yeah,
general.
because you
but-
guys weren't good for 30 years. But
no, I'm just a creative, and it bores me. So, look, I think what like you say, Liverpool's done well with it. With their new Nike sponsorship, that has opened so many doors for them. I think they have that whole thing with what's that basketball player's name?
LeBron James.
LeBron.
That's
Oh,
the one.
that basketball player's name. That's
No, I
unbelievable.
forgot the one that had the shares in Liverpool.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's
he
a-
has shares in Liverpool.
He does. He just bought into the Boston Celtics as well. By the way, the same group.
Same
the
owner.
Fenway group.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Exactly, FSG.
and he's a big Lakers. He's a big Dallas Cowboys fan as
There you
well.
go.
And
FSG.
I think he supports the Yankees actually, LeBron. So it is a bit of a conflict.
You see, that's the thing though. FSG, Fenway Sports Group, their method of almost attempting this whole monopoly over sports,
Yeah.
essentially, because they're not just, as you said, they're not just in football.
Oh yeah.
They're in baseball, I think basketball. a
No,
little
they're
bit.
everywhere. They
Exactly.
are juggernauts.
I think, I think what would be interesting is to see it all come together. Like
Globally.
yeah, I mean, like as Fenway Sports Group, what can you do in conjunction with two of your owned businesses or sports teams?
I think you see Man City heading that way.
Mm.
They own about 470 million football clubs, and they're
They do,
somehow
they've got,
linking all those groups. They own everyone. Don't even try.
in,
Melbourne,
Australia,
New York.
Yeah.
They own.
Granada, there's a big involvement there.
Yeah.
Oh, are they?
Yeah,
Hey, you guys are playing Granada.
Mm.
So it's
They
a
just
it's
got
a derby.
involved in Spain.
It's a derby. It's,
Yeah.
it's Granada United derby.
Yeah. I think. I mean, I don't know how you would.
No, listen, billionaires will find a way.
Well, Spurs, I mean, Spurs with the NFL tie-in. I
Yeah.
mean, that's immediately your first sort of like,
It's also like
crossover.
PSG with their Champions League Air Jordan kits.
yeah.
Because of their Nike sponsorship, they've brought this sort of basketball spectrum into football and made a whole new kit for it.
And I think football's unique because a lot of other sports, and I think, I'm a sports fundy, we enjoy sport, but most sports actually came about because rich guys were bored. Football's a very, very unique thing. It was never invented to be a product. You look at cricket, the only reason cricket exists, and I don't know if people know this, is that rich guys wanted to sit and gamble. It's a gambling sport. Literally, the cricket gives you six opportunities to gamble every over, right?
Oh,
That's
yeah.
No,
Each
that's
ball.
why you call it the over, like in gambling, for those who gamble. Anyway,
Okay.
so football's very, very unique, and Simon Critchley calls it something beautiful. He calls it the working class ballet. Football's a working class thing. And now as the prawn brigade comes along, it's quite an interesting thing, and what you're saying, Paolo, because what you're saying will hurt the feelings, I think, of British people. You know how the Brits can get, is that now when the money comes, and now it's coming from all over the world, all of the romantic side of football, is it's community based. Especially you think of a Liverpool.
Yeah.
I think United's too far gone.
It's also like, sorry to interrupt, Sunderland. I don't know if any of you have seen that Sunderland Till I Die documentary.
It's
on
Yeah,
amazing.
with the Americans,
It's
yeah,
ca-
yeah.
that is car crash. They got who's now? There's some 23-year-old
Yeah.
heir to.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you know who his cousin is? So Dreyfus, the Dreyfus family, for those who
Yes.
haven't looked him up. Julia Louis Dreyfus is part of that family. They took on Marseille at a stage. It's the same network of Dreyfus sire. I don't know what that would be.
Dreyfuses?
Dry-fi.
Yeah. I don't know what.
Drive-by.
Yeah.
My point
She's
is,
Elaine from
is
Seinfeld.
Elaine, you gotta have a baby.
I think in Sunderland Till I Die season 1, I think, or no, the
Whatever, I've
fans
I've
were
seen it.
very upset about all of this new ownership coming in and all of this money being pumped into the sport because they didn't want to turn into a Man City. They didn't want to turn into a Chelsea with Roman Abramovich. And I think that's something that football is slowly losing, and it kind of makes me sad.
But I think we'll do it more. Sorry, Paulo. I think we'll do it more, but we must be careful of saying, Britain's tiny, but different places respond a different way. So Roman Abramovich is perfect for Chelsea because the west of London is high fashion, cosmopolitan. So that's perfect. That Chelsea went the way they are who they are. Chelsea's West Ham, Fulham, that Fulham area, if you've been there, it's geared that way. I think United, we've seen what a big problem it is there. Working class town.
Yeah, that's
factory town.
Manchester isn't the prettiest place.
Yeah.
It's got like a few good, nice looking areas, but by and large, our take is so interesting because we consume football as entertainment.
Yeah.
We don't have a match going experience. And when you do go on a match going experience, it's like Disneyland because you go on a package and you're taken like this and you do the club shop and all that. So we don't have that. So we actually look at football as an entertainment experience.
Absolutely.
It's something we do as part of our entertainment, right? So that's why we have that sort of take on it. And that's why I think maybe the British and those match going hardcore real fans battle with it but this is our life and it's moved on from there. And I think the easiest correlation between football and another sport is Formula One. That's what, before the Abramoviches would go buy a Formula One team.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They'd go and Qataris would go buy Formula One teams. And now they go, well, before it was probably racehorses. And they go, well, we can buy football clubs now. And that's what it is. So
they even have the Sky Bar in Dubai.
Yeah. So our take is different.
Yeah.
It is different. Well, it's such an interesting thing because football is just, I think, of every sport that's ever existed, it is the most unique. Nothing gets people this tribal.
And English football, they're rich to complain. They were happy to sell out. And now that they're a product, they go, oh, we're not a product. You don't see teams in Spain and Italy and that complaining because they never had the opportunity. They'd sell out in a heartbeat if they could.
Hey, Real Madrid, give us one chance.
Yeah.
Listen, Jimbo, you're going to get a lot of advice because there's a lot of wisdom between Paulo and I. So,
and I'm still a young lad.
Oh, well,
no, but you must bring your dynamism.
Yeah, that great word, by the way. That is a fantastic word.
That's what I do.
That is, but they are rather. They are rather.
Should we all just go outside and hug for 5 minutes because we're just the best?
We should get a drum circle. Yeah, like drum circle and an appreciation drum circle. But before we move on, Jimbo, you must be careful because the Premier League clubs, to Paulo's terrific wise point as we close off here, is the worst thing in the world is getting what you want. And they wanted the money. They want the pounds. They want the tax. But then you're going to get Roman Abramovich and you're going to get the sheikh from a country you've never heard of.
Well, I mean, if I'm not mistaken, Roman Abramovich owns the biggest yacht in the world, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
I don't think he's concerned.
That's business.
Anyway.
That's business, big.
There you go.
All right. Well, listen, we're going to take a little break. We'll be back in a little bit. Some good stuff in the first half there, huh? There was good chatting.
Very good.
We're chatting, talking. Like
Banter.
Yeah.
Banter
with the boys. You guys can catch banter with the boys during our intermission also.
Hashtag banter with the boys. All right, intermission. We'll be back in a bit. So generally, the types of people I'm moving with in business and in my personal life, the economic thing ain't a problem.
So what he's saying is, for anyone listening,
yeah,
and I'll address the camera directly. What he's saying is, right, the other day we found out that he's incredibly pretentious.
Yes.
Incredibly.
Yes.
He ordered glasses from
Denmark.
Denmark.
Hey, no big deal. Tom Brady, Christopher Klus.
NBD.
Yeah.
NBD.
Yeah.
No big deal.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
So the second part of that you were asking is what would I do if we're on the day?
Essentially.
50% and good luck. Good luck to you. Because I've been the other person, right? So in my 20s, let me reveal things to you. I became the guy after like football bombed out for me. I became the guy who was kind of bumming off my friends. I'd go out with my friends with no money, a horrible person, and expect them to just pay after I'm hammered. Like, this is the person you're dealing. So I've been that person. Like, no, you're not doing it to me. Like, forget it. We're not playing. No, good luck. You know how I look at life. If you're smart enough to get yourself into a situation, be smart enough to get yourself out. Because I did in my life. So if you're smart enough to wangle a date with me and you get to whatever restaurant I'd want to be at, and number one, I don't do dates like that anyway. But if you're smart enough to create the ruse to get me to a restaurant, good luck. All right, welcome back to it. It is the MKT Show. A little intermission. That's what we call it, a business word. That's industry jargon, as they call it. But we're back.
Time to hug, a.k.a.
Time to hug, huh?
Time to
Didn't
hug.
we have a hug during the intermission?
People hug.
I mean,
Although, James, get a mask on. It's a pandemic still. Please, I know you youngsters think you can do anything. You're bulletproof. But please, there's still a global
We don't want
pandemic.
another Belito here.
Please.
Please.
what did I do?
I know
No, no.
I know Wuhan back, but geez, like James, just maybe there's a global pandemic, and
You
maybe
know
maybe I want my
Wuhan back.
grandmother to survive into 2022, if you don't mind, James.
What did I do
Well,
here?
You know what you did. You know. what
You do know. You youngsters out there.
You know what you did,
You know.
James.
You know. In fact, you're right, Marlo. You know.
Have a
You
word.
know.
Have a word with yourself.
Have a hard word with yourself.
What's going on?
Have a hard word with yourself. All right, MKT Show, we're back. I'm MKT. I'm joined by the boys. Of course, Portuguese President Paulo Diaz. Next to him, James Ellingsley, a man who couldn't get into UCT. I don't want to get into it. All right. Listen, we've got a fun game today. Hey, you couldn't get into a proper varsity. I don't know what to do about that. You know, you went to Africa.
Because I was too busy being broken up with during my matric.
That's tough. I don't want to go back there.
Tell you guys that I went to advertising school. That's not going to go down very well.
No, that was different.
Did you go to the AAA advertising school? Which one did you go to?
I went to AAA.
That one across the road from Saints.
No, it was before. It was
We have international viewers, by the way. What's Saints? What's AAA?
St. Stithians College.
St. Stithians College.
It's a high school.
AAA is an advertising school. The one by Old Parks.
Ah, okay.
That one.
I'm with you.
The one with the bar
Yes.
at Old Parks.
So it was a good advertising school. is what it was.
Exactly.
In Randburg, huh?
In
Yeah.
Randburg.
Yeah.
Randburg industrial area for
There you
those
go.
that are international viewers, where the rough and tough guys like me and Paulo grew up, and then James.
No, that part's still nice. That
Yeah.
part's still nice.
Yeah, all right. Maybe I'm just the rough and tough guy who works on the show.
You're from the
James.
north.
Yeah, I'm a rough and tough guy. When I was born, people went, born while meat was cheap, as they say. But anyway, I don't want to get into how tough and handsome and passionate and forgiving I am. What I want to get into is we got a game that we're going to be playing. It's a great game. I don't even know
Well,
the rules yet.
Neither do I.
The greatnest of it is that it exists.
Yeah, that's it.
We're going to call it Drogba or Pogba. So Drogba or Pogba. Paulo Diaz, you're going to tell us the rules, and we're going to get into this. Drogba or Pogba? I think I'm going to be saying it's an earworm.
Yeah.
Be saying that
Yeah.
forever.
I'm going to hate those players' names after this show.
Drogba or Pogba?
It works because it rhymes.
Yeah. Oh,
Everything works when it rhymes.
You
Right?
got, see, I'm a radio guy, right?
enough said.
You got to do rhymes. People love rhymey names. They love alliteration names.
Ah.
Okay? The big bad bonanza,
Yes.
bizarre.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
It doesn't need to relate to anything. It's just got to
Yeah.
be rhyming. Rhyming, alliteration.
Hey, that speaks to I need to find a partner that rhymes as well. Like
With
although
your name.
Lelo. I'd have to find someone.
No.
Bulelo.
I don't want to get cancelled. So
All
I'm
right,
just
okay.
gonna
Why are we
say-
going?
I'm just gonna
We're
start
going.
this.
We're falling into the rabbit hole.
Is that wrong? Hey, okay. No. Let's say. Listen, big day. We're launching Drogba or Pogba. Let's focus up here. Paulo, tell us the rules because I like rules. I'm an enemy of chaos.
There you go.
We're going to play this game, right? That's going to ask a question that who would have had to answer this question? Ferguson, Mourinho. Who would have been faced with this as well? Allegri. The decision. Do I go with Pogba or Drogba?
Oh,
Right.
Because I can't have both.
no, you
Okay.
can't.
Fair
I've
enough.
got to choose.
Fair enough.
Okay? Like every child playing FIFA. Okay? Career mode. Pogba, Drogba.
I'm a very competitive person. How does the scoring work?
Well, I will guarantee you one thing. I will mess up the scoring.
Excellent.
Yay!
I will definitely. So I would encourage you to keep your own score.
Yes.
Okay, because I will definitely mess it
But
up.
I did maths lit. I'm not good with numbers.
You went to after.
I'm the big
There is no
ideas
number.
guy. Right?
We're the people that make it happen.
I'm the top line.
We're the people that make it happen, right?
In the biz, we say you're an ideas man, a
That's it.
concept.
I'm an ideas eagle. I
Sure.
need to soar.
No.
Okay? I just need to flap those eagle wings. Okay? Does an eagle do maths?
I've never seen an eagle counting. Not me. And one thing
I
I've
rest
always
my
thought
case.
about scorekeeping in the real world is I thought that's just too accurate. So if you do mess it
Right.
up, it's been one of my complaints. Like when one team scores 1-0, like why can't it just be 1-1?
Yeah.
This is too accurate.
Why can't you have a different score
Yeah.
depending on the quality of the goal?
Yeah.
Headed goal in the box, 1 point. Headed goal from the halfway line, 5 goals. You know what I mean?
Look, we thought VAR was controversial.
No.
This would be massively
This
controversial.
is change.
I think-
Remove crossbars.
There you go.
I've always thought just be open-minded.
No.
Yeah, and scoring's not open-minded enough. So if you do mess it up, hey, that's business, baby.
There you go.
Okay.
There you go.
Another good thing we do in radio. Long segues. Teasing. This is called teasing.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Teaser.
We could have ended the game by now. Goodness.
Okay. So now I see we've got a lot of time to fill. So it's called padding.
Right.
padding.
Okay.
Hey,
I'm with you.
We're not just a sports show. We're teaching people.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I
exactly.
tweeted this morning. It's not your average sports show.
Stop
No.
spending 90 grand on after. Come listen to this show.
No, listen, this is not no top sport.
No.
It's,
No, the sports
Robert
content's
Marawa.
there, though.
Yeah, no,
It
it's
isn't.
there, but this is not. Yes, yo. Okay, right.
Hit us
So,
with
listen, the other days you guys been on, great stuff.
Thank you.
okay, I just once again in quality.
Yeah.
Standard.
No. Lift the level right up.
You know, sometimes like when you play Burnley, they make you play their game.
Yes.
They bring you down to their level.
You play
Yes.
down to the level, yeah.
Burnley, dear Sevilla.
I hear you pulling us
Gotcha.
right into the
Gotcha.
trenches.
That's
yeah.
exciting. That's
Pits of
exciting.
hell have no base. I hear
Call
you.
me Daesh. Okay, right. Pogba or Drogba, let's get to it. So what I'm going to do,
Right.
okay, because I had to like massage this game because I'm going to give you a goal. I'm going to describe sort of like the basics of the goal.
Okay.
Oh, you look, did you look
No,
at
I'm nervous. I'm smiling because I'm nervous.
iPad.
Yeah.
I'm nervous.
Okay. I'm going to name a goal and you have to tell me whether it was scored by Pogba or Drogba.
Okay, that's easy enough.
Easy as that.
Sounds
Now,
easy.
of course, like intentionally, I leave out certain details because, you know,
Wait.
Pogba's only played in Italy and England.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of work.
Well, this sounds like my ex relationship, where you leave out some details.
Yeah.
I think someone hurt you really badly in the past.
Oh.
One day,
One day. That's not the time.
no.
All right,
but-
let's get
but-
to Pogba,
but-
Drogba.
But I'm afraid if we ever get into that, it's like that is the end, right? We're going to have a full-on
Yeah.
snot crying,
That's it.
ugly cry
Yeah.
Oof.
situation.
And that's gonna be ugly.
We
Hey,
thought Heartbreak and Chill was bad.
careful what you wish for, because you
Yeah,
might just get
shame.
it.
Yeah, I felt for you in that one. Okay,
Did.
so I'm going to go 1-1. There's 5 questions, right?
Right.
Let's start with James.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Cool.
If James gets it wrong, Umbelelo automatically gets your score.
What?
Okay.
But
cool.
he has to get it right, surely.
No.
Sorry,
No,
I'm being
no.
overly competitive. Okay,
Yeah,
let's
yeah.
just play the game.
It's 50-50,
And you don't make the rules. Clearly, Paolo's making the rules.
That's true.
and they will change. I guarantee.
I'm going to think of a game that we do next week, Friday, and it's going to be my rules.
Yes.
And
Okay.
I'm going to win it.
All right. This goal,
Right.
a 77th minute right-footed shot away against Parma. Pogba or Drogba?
Oof. You see, it's confusing because Parma is in Italy, right? And that's where Pogba played. And so...
But
Drogba
Chelsea played a lot of European games.
But was Parma ever in a European Cup?
Mm.
Is my question. Do we not have a year or no?
No, because that'll give it away. Because
Right,
obviously Drogba
fair
played
enough.
longer.
I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna regret this. I'm gonna go with Drogba.
1 point to Umbelelo.
I knew it.
Pogba, Serie A, 13-14 season.
Right. Okay.
Umbelelo for a second point. A penalty rebound. Okay, scored from a penalty rebound. 27th minute at Goodison Park, Everton. Pogba or Drogba?
Oh, that's a cracker. Did Pogba ever take the penalties for? Oh, these are tough.
Because
We should have Who Wants to Be a Millionaire music.
These
playing.
are tough. This
Shit,
is
yeah.
this is good stuff. Hey, we'll add stuff.
Next week, Friday's game.
We're pros. You,
I didn't want to commit in case it was rubbish, but
There you
it
go.
seems like we got it.
It's getting intense.
Yeah.
you don't marry and then date.
There
You
you
date
go.
then marry.
There you go.
Yeah, you
Smart.
don't pay for the wedding on the first date. That's it.
We're falling down the rabbit hole again.
Wisdom. Man,
'Cause
Drogba was our penalty kick. So you're saying rebound? How many minutes?
27th minute, away. Sorry, at home against Everton. Sorry, it doesn't really change it.
No, that changes everything. I mean,
'Cause
no,
you don't know where they play.
I was aligning my chakras. I've got to say Drogba purely because he took more penalties.
Premier League 18-19. James gets the point.
Yes.
One
Good, James.
One each.
Good, James.
James, back to you.
Yes.
Arsenal. The goal came against Arsenal. Right? Now we know Drogba's record against
Oh.
Arsenal.
Arsenal killer.
Always killed them.
It's relatively impressive.
A right-footed shot, 16th minute. Against Arsenal. At home. I won't tell you who's home. at home against Arsenal, 16th minute. Pogba or Drogba?
I'm going to go Pogba.
Premier League 17-18. Pogba is correct. James gets the point.
I'm winning.
2-1.
I'm winning, guys.
Umbelelo, chance to level it up.
Level things up.
We really need bed music for these moments.
No, I like the tension, the theater of the mind, if
There
you
you
will.
go.
But we will add it.
We will add
it.
Yeah.
Next week, Friday's game.
In my day-to-day business, I would put music and charge for it. It's not for ambience.
Yeah.
It's for Zaz. You don't need ambience. You just need some cheese, right?
Oh man, that is
Right.
good stuff.
Right. FA Cup game. Okay. This player, Pogba or Drogba, took a free kick. 59th minute,
Mhm.
scored it against Portsmouth.
FA Cup, Portsmouth. Oh, that's tough. When was the last time Portsmouth played United? Whew. Pogba or Drogba, huh?
This is to level it up or hand it to James. This is it. It's on the line. You missed this, James.
It has to be Drogba because I can't even remember a Pogba free kick.
FA Cup,
Portsmouth.
a direct free kick.
Drogba. It's Drogba. It's got to be.
It's Drogba.
It's
You got
Drogba.
it.
It's Drogba.
It's tense, guys.
Come on.
I know.
Yes.
I'm so tense.
Let's go. Yes.
So wait,
Okay.
what's the score now?
2-2.
Sudden death.
2-2.
James, you missed this.
no.
Yeah, this is for all the marbles.
Umbelelo wins without even playing the game.
There's no stress.
If
Like
anybody in the comments section knows the answer, just feel free to give it to me.
Yo.
Thanks.
Thank God for that delay.
Yeah.
James, just like Leicester won the Premier League without actually playing, they've won Premier League title, the same amount as Liverpool. Okay? Internationals. Drogba played for Ivory Coast,
Yes.
qualified for France, played for Ivory Coast. Pogba plays for France. A 3-0 win against Austria. Either Pogba or Drogba scored the second goal in a 3-0 win against Austria. The score is 2-2. This is for the win.
No pressure, James. If you get this wrong, I win everything and you are nothing.
You're getting time to think. There is a little soundboard here with a lot of hotkeys on it. Each one has a sound effect. I don't know what's there.
We're just going to push them.
Whatever happens, yeah, I'm playing.
Take a gamble. Take a gamble.
Who's gambling? Me.
It's going to be me
Oh, after my answer.
because we'll have the winner.
I know this is a hand clap or a laugh. It's
Is
one of
it?
the two.
Oh,
So you don't know. Actually, you don't know anything.
I'm going with this one.
That's it.
After my answer.
Or depending. Oh no, the red one. There's a red, but that's the music.
That's the bed, yeah.
Okay.
Wait, is the
Oh,
right
stop
audio
stalling. Now
out?
you're stalling.
I want to know if the audio is up
Okay.
because
He's
people
nervous.
need to hear
He's
it.
nervous.
Now you're
This is
stalling.
what happens. This is what happens when people can't
I
step
need
up
an
to the
answer.
plate.
Sudden death.
Yeah.
Are
Take
you
it.
Badger in '94?
Oh, that was bad. Over the polls. It's America.
No one's giving me the answers in the comments. That's rude.
3-0 Austria.
I'm gonna go Pogba because I don't remember Ivory Coast playing Austria. If I'm honest.
Balila, how does being a winner feel?
It was a mysterious victory. Wow, that was
There's
so.
a- there's
that
a
was
hand clap here
that
somewhere.
music. No,
There you go.
that mystery was perfect.
Nice.
I preferred the
good job.
mystery.
The mystery was better.
So, do you know what?
That was Drogba scoring the second goal in a 3-0 win against Austria in a 2012 friendly.
I like it.
See, but that's what I thought, right? I thought it wasn't gonna be Ivory Coast because I don't think I've seen Ivory Coast play a European team in a friendly.
But
If it was a World Cup, sure.
they would have played, but that's why I didn't say friendly. And also, so many of their players are based in Europe, it makes sense to play lots of European friendlies.
Also, is that the most ridiculous reasoning I've ever heard? I've never seen $1 billion, but I do know billionaires exist. I mean, what are we talking about here? That might be one of the best games I've ever played, by the way.
Hey,
Um,
it felt good.
no, hey,
It felt good.
Drogba or Pogba? We're gonna keep that. I like
Okay.
that. I
Good
love
stuff.
it. I like that. We're gonna keep adding to that. That was cool.
That was good.
And by the way, James, if you don't think I'm gonna trample on your grave, you are wrong.
Why?
Because I am making a winner's speech.
Okay, do it.
So I just
Wait,
want to thank myself.
let me give the close up to you.
There
there you go. There you go.
I just want to thank myself, obviously, for delivering when it mattered and not doing too much, because some of you know what happens in competition is that when you get there and you tend to, I'm enjoying this, by the way. When you get there, you tend to not trust your training, and I just trusted my training and everything I knew. I knew that James went to AFTA and couldn't get into proper varsity like me. So I always knew sometimes you don't need to beat the opposition. You let them beat themselves. That's called emotional maturity. And I stayed out of it. And, it's tough to be humble when you know you're the finest. And,
Isn't there like an orchestra sound effect you can play like in the
Probably.
Grammy?
again, winning, I stay in the winner's circle. And, and I think that's my music playing Neil.
And thank Didier Drogba. Didier,
Again.
Emile, Laurent, Drogba.
Million. Yeah, he's got lots of names.
He does have a lot of names. A lot of siblings as well.
And he's about to become the president of the Ivory Coast if things go correctly.
Not
One or two more coups, he's in. I just said it.
you know Drogba, right? Like he always looked.
Not personally, no.
No, okay. Well, you know the person Didier Drogba.
Yeah, I know the player. I know of him.
The guy responsible for your loss.
Yeah.
He was like always like so intimidating as a player because he had those like crazy dreadlocks.
Yeah, for sure.
And but like an imposing, like real strong, like that's man.
Animal.
Man.
Yeah.
Right? And then shaves his head. Beautiful. What?
Yeah,
What are you even talking about?
He looks like a babysitter. Like he looks like he walks dogs now. He looks like the friendliest person ever. Because he looked like you're saying, with those dreads, and then he had the slick back that made him even look even more.
Yes, when you.
Oh.
That was a terrible hairstyle.
I saw a thing the other day that said it was a picture of that Samsung Chelsea jersey that Pogba would wear when he was at Chelsea, obviously. Drogba, sorry.
Yeah. No
And,
big deal. You don't know the difference. That's why you lost
Because
the game.
I lost the game, yeah. And underneath it said you knew the game was over before it started. And
Yeah.
it's the truth.
That was the truth.
No, there was a time.
What was it game? I think Chelsea, it was one of Mourinho's first games, but he got into Chelsea so quickly. And Robin one side and Joe Cole the other side, Drogba,
And Duff. remember?
Lampard. It was Duff. It wasn't Joe Cole, it was Duff. And the game was over by the 12th minute, and it was only 1 or 2-0. But it was just the other team was just we're gone. Paul Ferreira, Ricardo Carvalho was just we are done.
Good
Forget.
Lord.
By the way, I just want to say I was living in the UK at the time as a season ticket holder, and I got to see that in full flight. The second season, Iron Robin and
Yeah.
Drogba and Lampard. Ooh, get out of town. Are you kidding me? But you're so right about Drogba. When he shaved his head, honestly, he looks like he knits sweaters with grannies now. He looks
But-
like the softest person.
But will knit a sweater with your insides if he has to.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no. I mean, he's using your stomach as obviously the
and
first
your
layer.
femur as the knitting needles. Moving
kinda
on.
dark.
Hey, I want to finish off on a guy called Jamie Carragher. He played for York.
Oh, I love
knows
Jamie Carragher.
all about Didier Drogba.
What do you mean?
And Henry. What do I mean? Go and look up those famous volleyball.
Oh, I thought you meant he
volley
had these random facts about them.
goal. Oh, no.
I get what you mean, though. Because he played against them.
No, he crushed him. Absolutely would pulverize him every time he played him.
My favorite was Arsenal.
Oh,
That
the
was
Henry one. Oh,
Arsenal just could not deal with him. It was guaranteed. They had such a mental block against him.
Drogba.
Oh God, they couldn't handle him.
He is. He's the greatest African player to ever play in the league. And I've always thought Yaya Toure is close. But
No,
Drogba.
Drogba.
What happened with him? Why did Toure's? Sorry, I know I'm going off course now, but why did Toure's career? I know there was a fallout with
No, because
Pep.
Man City didn't buy him a birthday cake. Everyone knows this. That's what happened.
No, but that can't. Why I'm asking the question is because that can't be the reason.
Well, no, that's what happens. Some people like birthday cakes. Are you saying birthdays aren't important, James?
But didn't he say that that wasn't the truth? It was his agent making the story and not him.
He's got that ridiculous Ukrainian dude as
Yes,
his agent. He
yes.
is out of hand. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a weird story because it's sort of like, and that's the thing we remember now. I mean, Torre was like a fantastic
He scored
player.
20 goals from
Yeah, he's a
midfield.
fantastic player, and we remember for a birthday cake. I mean, that's your life now.
He's
Now you're-
20 goals from box to box. He got 20 goals in the Premier
Yeah.
League. He was second in the in that Ballon d'Or, I think,
Yeah.
or in the Golden
No,
Boot.
yeah.
What did he? He didn't win it. No, he didn't win it.
No,
Yeah,
I don't think he
no,
ever
that's
won
it.
one.
But still, 20. He was
As a
he was
midfielder.
beast. For three titles, he was like the guy, and was
Yeah.
doing it all as well. Like Vieira, poor man's Vieira.
he hasn't retired properly yet. He's still he's still available
Yeah, he's
for
out.
5-a-sides in that. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Where's his
birthday
brother now?
celebrations?
I know his brother. No, he's at
Leicester.
Celtic, isn't he?
Is he not at Leicester as the on the coaching staff with Bodgers?
Could be because he
Could
played
be.
under Rodgers at
Yeah.
Celtic. Yeah.
Because
No,
we have internet for a
I
reason.
think he's at Leicester. Yeah.
If only there was something on a computer that we could type
What
things
could
into.
we
If only there was a library that you could access anytime you wanted, and it's got
Oh.
every bit of information you'd want. If only
He's-
there was that.
He's the first team coach at Leicester City.
That's why this man wins made up
Listen,
Friday afternoon.
I'm going to
games.
win next week's
No.
game. I promise you.
I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm not saying I know everything. You're saying that. You know, I'm not
I
gonna-
didn't utter those words once for
mean,
a second.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, Drogba or Pogba? Well, that's one of the most fun things I've done in a while. Paula,
Great.
you really? That was a
Good game.
You make me so sad when you say that, but good.
Yeah. Yeah. That was me calling out for help. Actually, as my life is unbelievably boring. Please bring texture to my life. And
You
James-
have texture now. You got your hummus. Can I tell a story real quick?
James, take your time.
The other day, he had a mini breakdown because he didn't have hummus, and it was raining outside. By the way,
Oh God.
we had finished the show, and he was like, "Oh no, it's crisis! I don't have hummus." He went walking in the rain to Woolworths for hummus to make his wraps.
First of all, right, to all of my Yiddish friends out there, all right, number one, can you get something in your throat there? It's hummus, right? Like popcorn in your throat, as the great Jerry Stiller said. It's not hummus. It's a hard hummus. And Paula, I got standards. I'm having a wrap, right? I didn't have avocado.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you do if? And this is there are sick people that do this, right? That put ingredients directly. Like I don't eat bread because I'm 8% body fat, obviously, but I do eat wraps.
Flex.
So on the wraps there are these monsters that put the ingredients, so it'll be mince or chicken or whatever,
Right.
directly on the wrap. You're an idiot. It's gonna break. What you need is a
It's
lubricant.
a lot of gravy. It's
Yeah.
You need, yeah.
What you need is a lubricant.
Or cream cheese.
8% body fat, once again, right? Is either I use avocado, I'll mash her up, or the tremendous invention of hummus. So I didn't have any. I was having a wrap. Calamity. That thing's going to break up.
But
When-
it's raining, my guy.
Yeah.
It's raining.
Well, clearly you don't make good wraps. It's venison mince, obviously
Right.
8% body
Our
fat.
wraps are incredible. You
James.
would just never eat them because 8% body fat.
Yeah, well, I mean, hey, excellence isn't for everyone. I've said this before. But you understand my dilemma here is I've got standards. I'm not having a wrap breaking up on me because I'm going to lower my standards to be like this animal James who's putting tomato directly on the wrap.
I don't eat tomato.
It's a lot of juice. I normally have, it's very seldom I'm actually lost for words.
Mm.
But this is one of those times. I am like, I think it's done. You've completed the game.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, you complete.
This is the hand clap, right?
I think so.
Nope, that's awkward. Well,
No.
Oh, so now I'm a joke to James.
We need to up our sound game.
Incredible. Hey, listen, you watch the show, you take a chance. You watch the show, you take a chance. All right.
Sorry, before we move on.
Should we take some questions? Let's take some questions.
Well, yeah, we do.
Let's take a couple of questions.
we do
YouTube
have
and-
one.
and Twitter.
The only thing Drogba couldn't do is win the 2008 Champions League against United.
That's tough. I was actually at that game in the rain in Luzhniki at the stadium in Russia. But then he did go to Munich at the Munich Arena. And why does that comment not say anything about that? Redemption is so very, very sweet.
Brutal. We got another one saying my opinion on Moyes. That's a long while ago. We missed that one.
Hey, let's have all the questions. Let's take some questions.
My opinion on Moyes, we would be worse off. He is a middle table team manager with no ability to turn a team into a championship winning side.
But how do we know that? Look, the one time he had a team, a half-decent team, he built his culture, and then he turned Everton into a bona fide top 6 team.
I think he's just got a better track record than Solskjaer. So he's done it with Everton. He's doing something with West Ham. We never know. It's just a question.
So, but this is a great point. Once again, what's the difference between them? Ollie's never done anything, and Moyes has done something. Like to your point, so why wouldn't you go with Moyes long term? He's like you say, he's done twice now.
Solskjaer's a Norwegian league winner.
Oh, I didn't think of that.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I said the other day.
Yeah,
Great, you've won the Norwegian league.
Norwegian league.
As many league titles as Klopp when he came to.
Okay, next comment. Roy Keane. Find me a Liverpudlian who doesn't fight in pubs.
Yeah,
That's
great point.
Harry
Stevie G.
Hardcore.
Yeah, that's defending Stevie G.
Eddie Tim says Roy Keane is arguably.
You went to after.
Say-
to take
say
a
it.
mulligan.
You
Take
say
it, arguably.
There you go. The greatest captain in the Premier League history, won 17 trophies with United, and he was completely phenomenal throughout his career.
No argument.
Yeah,
there is. No argument.
I think.
Do you have any more questions there,
Enough
James?
said.
Doesn't matter how far back they are. I'd like to hear some questions. Or what do the people have to say? Let's take a couple of questions. And by the way, I just want to be clear. There's no argument. He is the greatest. It pains me. I hate Man United, but Roy Keane set the bar, and he's never been replicated.
So we said just now, or this comment that said the only thing Drogba couldn't do is win the Champions League against United. The same person replied and said, "I only took a swipe at Drogba because you're always taking swipes at United."
Oh, I see. Okay. No, very nice. What else we got?
I think that's it, actually.
All right. Well, that's it. Is that it?
I think
Are we
those-
sure that's it?
Yeah.
I like questions. I like to hear what the people out there have to say. Do you know
we
what I
didn't
mean?
actually do a lot of them today. We
No.
didn't encourage people. We didn't even do a poll.
Yeah, speaking of which, by the way, the podcast is available. We're a professional show, obviously, tightly knit. As you can see, we're not jumping around at all. We've got a lot of structure. By the way, the podcast is available. You can get it at cliffcentral.com on the app. Otherwise, wherever you get your podcasts. Paulo, where do you get your podcast? In fact, this is an important subject before I finish off with the rugby. We're going to talk international rugby and my thoughts there. What podcast program do you use? So the MKT Show, by the way, blah, blah, blah. You know what the name of the show is. Go and look for it wherever you get your podcast. Blah, blah, blah. And go to YouTube. Go subscribe. What else? James, you're the youngster.
Like,
Tell-
subscribe, follow, tell a friend, share,
Yeah, be a friend,
comment,
tell a friend. Yeah,
retweet.
Put it on a billboard.
that's
Put it on a
it.
billboard if you want.
Share it with your mom, your dad, your dog. Who else?
Ah,
The
just
next door neighbor.
I feel like my dog. I don't have one.
You know, if you're having an affair, maybe play it in the car while you're driving to there. Whatever. Just listen to the podcast, share it, tell everyone. You know, if you're having illicit relationships, tell that person to listen to the show. The MKT Show, it's available wherever you get your podcast. Now, let's get to the most important thing here. What program do you use, or what app do you use to listen to podcasts?
It's one of those where it's sort of like your first. So I've always listened to all my podcasts through Apple, and I tried to recently change over to Spotify in what is possibly the most boring conversation you're ever going to hear on a Friday afternoon on any show ever.
No, we're here now because I have some strong thoughts on this.
But we have to educate, right?
Well-
Because a lot of people are getting into podcasting. There are 2 million podcasts, 19, no more, but there's 2 million podcast series,
Wow.
right? This week, 2 million podcast series.
Wow.
Okay, so people
Around
are,
the world.
around the world, people are getting into it. Okay, I think it's almost 2 million, 200 million episodes. Okay, so there's a lot of podcasts, people getting into it. Maybe they need to understand,
Yes.
right?
Educate. By the way, before you go on, Paulo, where can people? So for those who don't know, Paulo is a real industry aficionado, and just take the compliment here, Paulo. Paulo, people can read your articles every now and then. There are articles that come out which you write about the space of sort of consumption of content and our
Audio,
behavior
yeah.
and audio and things like that. Where can we get that?
Financial Mail, the Financial Mail.
James, that's a newspaper. I know.
I was
you're-
about
you're-
to say that sounds
very-
relatively boring. The Financial Mail.
No,
Yeah.
it's fascinating.
No, James, it's a newspaper. Do you know what that is?
Yeah.
Well, this isn't in the newspaper. There's a marketing section online called the Red Zone, Financial Mail Red Zone.
Okay, so that's where, and you can. How often does that article come out?
Once a month.
Okay, once a month. Can you subscribe, like, share?
I think there could be.
Yeah,
there probably is.
All right, so go. Can we just read your article though? Do I have to pay for that?
No, it's free.
All right, so go and look for Paulo's article. It comes out once a month. We'll put it up on the page.
I don't think you can put 2 cents into PayPal or something like that.
All right, sorry. So we were educating the people.
What's black and white and red all over? Sorry, just to go back to the newspaper thing.
I don't know.
Well,
it's a newspaper. See, I know what it is. Checkmate.
Paulo, let's move on with educating the people then.
So, because I've been listening to podcasts for a long time, all my podcasts are subscribed into Apple. And every time I've tried to change something else, I lose all my podcasts. So I go back to Apple.
Okay. So, by the way, Apple is a car crash of an app. What do you use, James, for podcasts? Car crash. The UX is, as the great Patches O'Houlihan said, it's about as useful as a cock-flavored lollipop. What do you use? It's just revolting. I will never use Apple Podcasts. Well, what do you use, James? Sorry, Paula, I can't be with you. That's the UX.
I'm just like, he used swear words. I thought we couldn't use swear words. Well, game changer.
Cock, no. Cock could be a male chicken.
Yeah.
James,
Sorry,
I don't know.
I lost it. The question was where I would listen to my podcast.
Yeah.
Apple.
Apple as well.
Yeah, but my laptop is an Apple.
Enough. All right. Neanderthals, the both of
Where
you.
else?
Listen.
I haven't even explored apps on a phone.
Neanderthals, the both of you. Pocket Casts, if you're on Android, is the only place to go because I'm a dumb. I don't want to think. The UX on Spotify is one of the worst things in the Southern Hemisphere that I've ever experienced, and I've put myself in some situations, boy. So if you have Android, please go and look for Pocket Casts and enjoy your life.
Can you download them for when you're offline?
Yes. That's what is this guy talking about? Have you ever been... Unbelievable. Okay, Pocket Casts. Paulo, I can't believe you guys are on Apple. And you know what? After this, we're going to have a conversation after this show. Because if I'm hanging around with 2 people that are listening to podcasts on Apple Podcasts, I'm going to need to change my friendship.
Well, look. Majority rules, right?
No. The show's my name. Do you think I care about democracy? It's my name. It's whatever I want is going to happen on this show, damn it. I believe more in what they call dictatorship. You know what I mean, Paulo?
It's another bad word. This is free for all.
Are we allowed to swear,
man.
dictator?
No.
Only you.
It's my show. And again, male chicken. I meant the male chicken, so I don't know what you were hearing. As
Paulo brought it up, not me.
All right, boys. Let's finish off. I'll finish off on this. A great game, which I love, and a true warrior sport. I've always thought of it as. I think it's outside of UFC, and I believe boxing. Boxing's become a different beast. But UFC, boxing, and rugby are the most, quote-unquote, honest sports on the planet. There's no pads. There's no this. It's just it's controlled human violence. That's what it is. It's what we call controlled human violence. Now, listen. In life, Paulo, you're a married man. Before I get into this.
Right.
When you now think about your life and you saw your wife before she was your wife, I presume you weren't married from birth, what about her, can you sort of remember what it was about her that you thought, oh, this is a person that I could see, I can make an unrealistic promise of, let's spend forever together. I feel like this is the person. Like, what was it about her in particular? Did it just happen? Did you fall into it?
Admittedly, I looked at the running order, and I don't understand how we went from EFC to my wife. But
I was reading the comments. I have no idea.
Okay.
As I was thinking about this topic,
Okay.
I thought this might actually. This may or may not work.
Okay, so let's see. What do I want out of this? Was my wife listening?
Yeah, is she listening?
It's school run, so I may be able to get away with it.
Yeah, use your on-air reason, not what you actually.
So, my wife and I have been dating together since we were 15 years old.
Yeah.
So we're talking on 26 years now.
Yeah.
So that's I don't have much experience out of that. So I saw her, and that was the one. It was just, I can't quantify it. It was just that. It was just, oh, that's it. That's done. That's resolved. I don't have to think further about it. That's nice.
No, and you know what?
So I'm like a different case study, I think.
No, and I think it is valid to say you saw value, and you know where there's value, you stay. Like people are like that. We're all like that. We're inherently, I believe, selfish.
Chantal, he used very hard words like value. That's not me. I would not. Okay,
All
those are
right.
very calculating words. Which
Now-
camera's mine? Which I'm there.
So Chantal, I just want to say, I'm not saying Paulo finds you valuable. I'm saying he finds you valuable. He's not saying he finds you valuable. I mean,
I'm not saying I don't, but
Yeah.
that's just not the word I'd use.
oh, it's not the okay
It's not very
because
romantic.
she's not a possession.
Yeah, exactly.
I think we're falling into that rabbit hole again, and
All right.
you
So,
might get into trouble.
you know,
so
I
let's
often-
just
I often ask myself this: is what makes things valuable? And for me, it's about scarcity. So scarcity makes things valuable. If something feels unattainable, or I don't know when I'm going to see this again, I don't know when I'm going to see him, her again, that makes that valuable. International rugby has a problem right now. Folks, I'm sick and tired of watching the Springboks playing the All Blacks 6 times a year. It is not valuable anymore. Rugby can't keep selling the romance of it to me over and over and over. It is over. Stop trying to be romantic with it. 6 times a year is not valuable. It loses its value. Now, if you tell me I'm going to see it once every 2 years, my God, you got something. Twice a year, once a year, you got something. Folks, rugby should have gone global 10 years ago. They had their opportunity. I'm going to propose a model for rugby which should have happened 10 years ago. Scrap the international games. I don't want to see any inbound tours. I don't want to see end-of-year tours. Scrap it all. Global league. Now, I've always said this. The Americans have got it right. Collective bargaining. Why has that not happened? And there are 3 unions in particular I want to talk about. South Africa, England, and New Zealand. New Zealand and South Africa, because we've got the athletes. Look at European rugby now. Our C and B grade guys are filling out England, France. Our guys that we never look at. I mean, CJ Stander, with all due respect, I understand he's one of the most awesome people in the world. He doesn't get into a Springbok 4th team. And he was an Irish star. So we've got the athletes. New Zealand have the athletes. There's New Zealand, there's Islanders in the French team, for goodness sake. Right? We've got the athletes. England has the money. Now, why have brainiacs not come together and gone, hey, do you know what a good idea is? Let's collective bargain. A global league. So let me propose to you how it will go. New Zealand plays their Aotearoa. We play our 6-team Curry Cup. England plays maybe a 6-team tournament of the top 6 in the Premiership. They come together. It's a knockout system. And the winners go to a Champions League. Do you know where you play the final? China, America, South America. We pack out stadiums and rugby stops being parochial. This idea that there's a value in the Springboks is asinine. I cannot sell the Springbok product. As you can see, I'll wear a Chelsea shirt. Paulo will wear a Man United shirt. Jimbo will wear his Liverpool shirt because there is a value in clubs. It is global. That model is global. The Springboks are not a global product. The All Blacks, not a global product. Football showed you. Sell the story. Rugby thinks it can sell the sport. That don't work. It is never going to work. This idea that the All Blacks have an intrinsic value, they don't. The business model is broken. International sport cannot be monetized into the infinite. Clubs can. Champions League for rugby. Collective bargaining. By the way, England has the money. We have the athletes. New Zealand has the athletes. Find a synergy in there. Sell the game to the Chinese. Sell the game to the Americans. And I'll tell you why that's important to me. I'll finish off on this. Rugby players are the most criminally underpaid sportsmen on this planet. It is a brutal sport. 3 to 5 years. And always, as in any sport, I always side with the sportsmen. They are the victims. Because the administrators that sit at the IRB and do a horrendous job yearly, I will say it, get paid millions of pounds per year. No player is making more than £5 million a year. Not a single rugby player, and I'm including endorsements in that. It is criminal. But it is because, and I'll say it again, rugby is still amateur. And I've said this before. Rugby is in the hands of administrators. Do you know what administrators do? They make rules. They don't innovate. You know who innovates? Billionaires. So when you have a league system, a billionaire owns the Blue Bulls, Patrice Motsepe, you know what he cares about? Selling the product, creating a product, innovating. Do you know what administrators want to do? Oh, make rules, make it tighter. You can't do this. You can't do that. Yes, but, no, but, right? Billionaires think, I tell you what, I'll apologize down the road and I'll pay the 200 million rand fine. Sell rugby to billionaires. And it is not possible if it's New Zealand and South Africa 6 times a year. All you're selling is tickets at the stadium then. But when you sell the Blue Bulls and you sell them to China, you sell them to America, you sell them to South America, now we got a product. Folks, I live in South Africa. I don't know a single person, right, that watches our national broadcaster. Everybody says, have you seen insert digital product here? Netflix is not a South African product. This idea that I need to support the Springboks or it's the end of it is asinine and stupid. It is stale. It is sold out. And most criminally, the players are the victims because they are criminally underpaid. Criminally underpaid. So test match rugby, folks, I know it sounds dramatic. It should have happened 10 years ago. We got to scrap it. And by scrap it, I mean maybe let's tone it down. What you keep is the World Cup and what you keep is the British and Irish Lions. You know why? Those are special. It comes around every 4 years. They are special. And you can find, listen, stop saying, how will you qualify? How will we make the World Cup work? We'll find a way. But let's just pay the players. And it's impossible with the current model. It is impossible to find money for the players or go international, by the way. Or go international. Those are my thoughts. I'd love to know what people think. I would love to know what people think. I just think rugby's saturated right now, and there's no quality unless you go club, and then I can have the best Samoan playing with the best South African. For a Chinese club. For an Indian club. If rugby goes big in India, they want to invest like the IPL, do it. Pay the players. But rugby right now is an analog product in a digital time. Those are my thoughts. Your thoughts on the game of rugby there, Paolo, and the model.
So I think what's I was to flip it back to football is that I know you guys had the conversation about international football being dead and everything, but it's quite funny in what you're saying is that any solution to fix international football goes into the problems international rugby has. And I like what you're saying there is they're trying to sell the story, and just not in touch with the reality of it. I'm by no means any rugby expert. But, you can see it. There's no quality there. I mean, what is the value of South Africa playing New Zealand 6 times a year?
Value lives, you've got to create a demand for something. If I know something's going to be on 8 times, like at some stage, right?
People do get excited, though. But does that dampen the excitement?
For what? Playing the All Blacks every time?
For supporters, I mean, like rugby's out of my remit, but like people get super excited still. So, I mean, all 6 times.
You know what? I think now it almost feels like the excitement just becomes the All Blacks are here, but even that's reached its limit. Like rugby's, it's the same thing every year as well. It's in the same place. It's never new fans. There's no new story. It's always the Springboks playing the All Blacks, and they sell the same narratives. It's tired now, and the players are getting paid very much the same now what they got paid 10 years ago.
But then, I mean, to raise the question, I mean, is sport about sport? Is sport about narrative? So we see how football's like twisted around because of the narrative, and NBA is twisted around because of the narrative. But rugby is just rugby with no story or drama around it.
And I think...
So careful what you wish for.
I agree. But I will always lean the business way because especially now with the way rugby is going...
Yeah, rugby feels like it's, like you say, it's analog. It doesn't feel like a sport of now.
Pay the players. Yeah. So my problem is that okay, if you want to keep the romanticism, but you can't pay the players then. The problem is this sport of all of them. My God, if there's a sport we should be looking to monetize. And it's why I love the NFL. That is a thumper of a sport. But every day you read in the papers, what are you reading? 4 years, $60 million.
But with rugby is the flaw, and school me, is that because national team players are signed to the union, but then they still half belong to their clubs, or I mean, is that a problem? Am I understanding that right?
So so some players have national contracts. So the Springboks will pick up a large part of his salary, but he gets a Springbok salary
right, okay.
as well as a union salary. But your union salary isn't what it will be with other guys. You got to
Yeah.
leave money on the table, but you will still be contracted to that. My thing is, don't worry about the Springboks. That should almost be like a testimonial.
Yeah.
Is create a situation where now Patrice Motsepe owns the Bulls. The guy's earning so much money there that now it's an awesome thing to go play for the Springboks. It's not like
Your
money,
career, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, your job, yeah.
Because for me is how do you sell, and I've said this before, for me any sport where the highest level of whatever it is international, is an amateur sport. There's not one sport anymore
Not anymore, yeah.
there isn't if you're premium, you're club, you're owned by something, because you need to strike that delicate balance between business and sport, right? Is international sport just can't do that, because how do I sell I can't sell the German national team to a Chinese person.
It's the US model, isn't it? Because I mean they only compete against each other, yet they come out world champions. Yeah, that makes sense.
No, listen, you've got to be global. And my only thing about rugby is they're not even willing to explore other things. Is why are the Blue Bulls not playing the Crusaders at the Yankee Stadium once a year? But do I sound crazy for that? Like, by the way, it's still rugby players doing it. Why aren't we looking to do that? And rugby, as we've seen with UFC, people love violence.
Yeah.
People, people are, we are our, after guy here, I'll teach you a word. We are by our very nature bellicose, right? It means we're combative by nature.
Yo.
People love violence.
Bellicose.
That would never have been at after.
So
no
that
chance.
was like my word earlier in the hub.
I can't remember.
Discombobulated.
Yeah, I still don't think you know what that means.
It's confused.
Okay, it means a little more than that. But anyway, this guy. Yeah, I don't think he knows what discombobulated means.
Listen, I try to pass off like having a sensible rugby conversation, so you can
we can
go
get
with bellicose.
Listen, that's another thing. But
I suppose.
people love violence. Like, whether we like it or not, people love to. That's why the UFC is so big. Is somewhere deep down inside of us, like, oh, that's an honest sport, in inverted commas. Like, we know, like, okay, because why has the theme ever since the great Roman empires is you put those guys in the middle, what do we call them? Warriors. Right? Let them fight to the death. I don't know what it is about human beings. We love that.
No.
Is there a more brutal sport on this planet than rugby?
No, not at all.
So we love that. Sell it to the people. Like, sell it to the...
Change your market. Yeah, change your market. Go to the EFC market.
But you can't do that if it's just the Springboks. I'm sorry, it's hard for me if I'm in... if I'm American, you know how Americans can be. Is they love America. Just get your flag off it, put the Bulls. Oh, great. And I can get behind that. Just as you can get behind Manchester United. And just because you support Man United doesn't mean you support England.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, like, you've got to be able to sell. Club you can sell. International you cannot. And I don't know why rugby doesn't realize this. I just... Am I crazy?
What about... Sorry. I know you guys were having that conversation, and I'm not massively into rugby. But I saw a tweet which raises a very good point. Because I do know how this rugby works. As well as the normal rugby, but the sevens, right? So this tweet says, I would argue that the sevens does a good job of making a global showpiece. It would be good if the rest of rugby could follow. I think the sevens with the Vegas sevens, the Cape Town sevens, they go to Singapore,
Dubai.
It's almost like a Grand Prix, but for rugby. They genuinely travel the world.
Yeah. The problem with doing that model for 15s is rugby is a really, really complicated sport. It's not like football.
Because sevens is a completely different game.
Sure.
Anyone
Sure.
It's showbiz. It's a completely different game.
But it shows that the same conceptual game can still be turned into a global showpiece.
Again, I think the 15-man rugby, to your point, is it's kind of like, I think, the same problem or cricket's having. Is 15-man rugby is like the test cricket. It's the original version. And the problem with rugby is it's a really complicated sport. Now, to get 15 countries to get good enough at a 15-man rugby sport, because you got to get the right guys at the right dimensions. By the way, in the front row, you have to be a certain dimension. Like, there's no options.
You have to be the big dude.
You've got to be this and that. It's just too complicated. And then the rules. Like the rules are really a stumbling block in rugby, right? Whereas if you sold it to Americans, just go, here's this violent thing, we're putting it on TV. Don't worry too much about the rules. Is if you start doing the world tours, is how do you sell? Oh, South Africa in town. Oh, I'm in Vietnam. I don't know if I want to get behind Vietnam, or Vietnam wants to get behind South Africa. America wants to get behind the Springboks.
Well,
right?
you say that, but did you guys see the hype around the Springboks during the World Cup when they went to China?
To Japan.
Japan, sorry.
Wow. Racist. Different people, different culture, different
I
flag,
think he's just making assumptions.
different.
Okay.
Like Japan and China. Wow.
Again, don't want to be cancelled.
And he's not racist.
Assumptions.
But although that they were popular in a rugby, to rugby fans,
Context, yeah.
I doubt those were like normal run of the mill.
Yeah, but did you see how many of them bought into the green and gold? Quite literally, they had their own flags and Springbok jerseys.
Look, I haven't been to Japan.
But it's tournament hype, though. I mean,
yeah.
like 2010 World Cup, everyone was into soccer.
I had a Mexico shirt.
But then what was stopping the Japanese from buying shirts for, the All Blacks and the numbers that they did for the South African and staying outside their hotels and trying to get a picture with Springbok players?
Well, I think we live in South Africa and they probably only showed us that stuff. I'm pretty sure New Zealand had that stuff being shown to the New Zealand television.
I don't know.
But
I don't know.
But the point goes, if you had that captive audience, nothing was ever done to it.
Yeah.
Nothing was ever done. It's like, it's not a bad idea to try and make Springboks popular in Japan.
No.
Big in Japan, if you will.
Huge.
Referencing back to my 80 show.
100%.
But exactly your point. It's like, why just let it be a tournament thing? Have they actually ever strategically gone back to Japan to actually try to do something and go, okay, well, there's a massive market here, obviously with an appetite.
Yeah.
Get out the sponsors on board with the Springboks.
And there's lots of South African players, or a fair amount, playing in Japan.
the clubs,
correct.
yeah.
Playing for Japan also.
Yeah.
So the clubs are trying there, but I just don't see how you can scale national teams.
No, you're 100% right.
Just like you can scale Man United, you can't scale the Three Lions.
You can scale Lakers. You can scale,
I'm not gonna lie, I get more excited for international rugby than I do for provincial and club rugby.
It's a marketing problem. I totally agree with you, and that's a huge problem. Because if anything, you should be going the Lions. You live here. Like, why are you getting more excited about
couldn't care
Siakam?
less about the Lions.
And that's a problem.
The thing, yeah.
I'm saying that's a tremendous failure. And you know why it's an even bigger problem? Folks, to get talent, right, to get the sport to rise, is you got to pay the players, right?
Sure.
The fact that James doesn't have a hero who lives here is a marketing problem. It is a structural problem. And I think rugby are doing it the wrong way. The business model needs to be the other way. If you take care of the ground floor, which is the Bulls, the Lions, in New Zealand they do a tremendous job, right?
Yeah, it's like from grassroots.
Because when you take care of of our clubs, you take care of the national team. Don't worry about it. Because if the clubs are great, then don't even worry about the national team.
But New Zealand's a whole different story because they're bred from primary school. They all play the same style of rugby, be it the Crusaders, the Highlanders. All of them play a similar style of rugby, and that's why their national team is so.
No, 100%. Listen, even the contract. So for those who are rugby enthusiasts, so they got something they called centralized contracting. So all of the teams are run by by New Zealand Rugby Union, and they decide which players go where.
Yeah,
because it's all about the All Blacks. So, but even then, you know what's hilarious about being South African is we've got all the athletes. Nobody produces rugby athletes like us in this on the planet, by the way. On the planet, you look at every single team in Europe, there's a South African in there. France, Ireland, England. So the problem for us is creating systems to be able to kind of find that talent, develop it, and keep it. And I still insist, if the model is international teams, they're going to get through the gates, because you're seeing it now. All the English guys, everyone wants to play in England. The pound is winning. You know why? Because the sport is brutal. I want to get paid. Right?
Yeah, you're getting paid in pounds there, and it's actually good payment in pounds.
And the sport is brutal. It is this sport is 3 to 5 years. Football's 8 to 10 years if you can survive in that world, right? If you're good enough.
Sure.
This world is brutal. But it goes away from my point of, I think the whole model is wrong. Is that, for me, I wanted to go American. Put billionaires in the room. They will innovate. They will build leagues. In fact, if you give all of rugby and cricket to billionaires, They will build leagues and make them sustainable. The problem of cricket doesn't have the money, rugby doesn't have the money. It's not a money problem. Billionaires can't wait to try stuff. You should play on billionaires' egos, because you know what's great about billionaires? They think they can make anything work. Get 10 billionaires in a room, sell them SA rugby teams, and believe you me, we will have the biggest rugby league and a global product. You get Rupert Motsepe and a few of these movers and shakers in a room, right? You get them in a room, trust me, we'll have one of the biggest products on this planet. Dana White, a great example. Look what he did with UFC.
Oof.
You know what? UFC, again, in the pandemic, out the gates, we the ones. You know why? I'll ask for forgiveness down the road. Because they want to innovate. They want to win. Administrators don't care about winning. They care about making rules. And the sport is never going to grow. I'm sorry, international rugby, it's broken and it's done. But and we are done, by the way. James, it's been great to see you, James. Great beard, by the way. We haven't spoken about it this week.
We haven't.
Fierce beard. Congratulations on that.
It's a little bit ginger.
What do? Hey, I'm not discriminatory. I'm not.
I'm just saying.
I mean, I did win the game earlier, though, so I should discriminate because losing's contagious, Paulo.
It's the word of the year, isn't it? Contagious.
All right, Jimbo, great beard. Paulo Diaz, great to see you. Have a great weekend. What are you up to this weekend, Paulo?
Portugal playing Serbia. World Cup qualifiers, if anyone cares.
What sport? Yeah, I was going to ask.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'll be watching some of that. Seeing my lovely little Portuguese boys in their beautiful little green pants.
It's getting weird now.
That's Wolves' B team, by the way, for those who don't know.
Correct.
All right, Paulo, great to see you, pal. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is MKT. This is the MKT Show. It's been an awesome week. Listen, I find it hilarious that I get to do this for a living. Great to have the boys with me. Hashtag the MKT Show live. And like, share, subscribe. You know what the channels are. And again, the podcast is available wherever you get your podcasts. Please go and like, share, subscribe, be a friend, tell a friend. Ladies and gentlemen, MKT, the MKT Show, Cliff Central Sport. And this week it's been an honor. We are the hell out of here.